Hi y'all, good morning. If you're ready to catch some catfish today, come on, let's go. It's time. That sun, it's back there somewhere behind me there about to come up. We got to get after them right now, folks. I've already got our bait cut up here. I'm gonna stick y'all on the chest. We're gonna get our hooks baited and we're gonna get after them, man. We're gonna do a combination of techniques today and hopefully catch some fish on each of the techniques, but I've got a feeling we're going to get the bulk of our fish dragging. I'm going to suspend a couple baits here off the front just for doo-doos and giggles and just for the fact that it's my favorite way to catch fish. But I got a feeling most of our fish are going to come dragging. So let me show you the rig right quick here before I drop it down if you're new to my channel. This is a Carolina rig. We got 40-pound monofilament here for our main line. That goes down to a swivel if we got a 8-ounce. Well, I can't get my words out. I'm struggling this morning, y'all. Bear with me here. But an 8-ounce egg sinker down to that swivel. We've got our 80-pound monofilament leader down to a 10-aught size circle hook. I've got a skipjack head on this rig, and then a few inches below the bait, we've got a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly. So we're gonna we'll look at that skyline over there. That sun's about to pop up here in a few seconds, man. It's gonna be an awesome sunrise this morning. But I'm gonna drop this bait down to the bottom. And when my sinker hits, there it went, I'm gonna reel my line down here to the water, raise up. And so this rig, as we move along today, it's gonna be just off the bottom, 2 or 3 feet off bottom as we make our way along. And we will adjust the depth of that rig as needed so that we keep it just off bottom. Now, this one over here, the other front rod, is going to be the exact same rig, just with a different bait on it. And on this one, we're going to use a body section of skipjack, just a chunk. I just took a skipjack and sliced it up. So we're going to send that down. Now our back rods, I'll show you those rigs. Those rigs are going to be different, and that's what's going to be dragging. I think what I'm going to do here is get these lowered down. I'm going to get us spun around and get us moving up this ledge. And before I get moving here, I'll show you on the graph kind of what we're going to be fishing today and how we're going to approach this. That way you can kind of see it, and then we'll get we'll let our dragging rigs out after we get on the move. So we got a little bit more time here for that sun pops up. Y'all need to watch you some sunrises. You need to. I know y'all sleep in all the daggone time. You miss this every morning. So I want you to see it out here today. This right here is what we're going to fish today. So we're going to take a section of this ledge, and the way the river runs here, you can see the bank, the ground over there in the distance. So what happens is you got the ground, it comes off to a flat that's mid-20s in depth, right? And it's flat out through here, and then it drops off again to what would have been the old river channel, the original river channel out here in the Tennessee River. That's behind me here. That was the original riverbed before they flooded this to make the reservoir. When TVA built the hydroelectric dams all up and down the Tennessee River and turned the river into a series of reservoirs, it raised the water level up. So this area over here in front of us that's a 20 some odd foot flat now, that used to be the land back in the day. So now it's kind of underwater. Now along this, what is now a flat and what used to be the old original land, there are some creeks that fed in here. We're set up right now directly in front of one. And as we make our way upriver today, we're going to come into some other kind of original creek mouths as we pull away along. And I'm expecting fish could be swimming up and down this ledge today. Well, we're going to work the bottom edge of it, right where it starts to come up here. We're going to work that all up and down. So any fish that are traveling, we're going to have a chance at those. Any fish that are maybe staged up in front of these creeks, they kind of come out there, hang out, work in to go feed, etc. We'll have a chance at those. So we're going to just take a big long stretch of this today, probably going to fish. It's going to be hot out here today, and it don't look like there's a cloud in the sky, so once that sun comes up, it's coming. It's coming right now. What a hell of a sight we're about to see. But it's gonna be hot, so this is probably gonna be 3-4 hours out here this morning, so we're gonna try to cover 1.5 miles, 2 miles of distance on this ledge and see what we run into. I'm gonna sit here a few more seconds. We got our suspended lines down. Y'all don't take your eyes off that sun, but right here, there's one of these creeks come in. Right here, I guess it probably goes back in there back in the day. So we're sitting here in a good opportunity to catch a fish with our suspended baits, but I'm gonna wait to get us on the move a second because hell, I wanna enjoy this myself. We only get so many sunrises in us, folks. Every day that goes by, we got one fewer left that we can enjoy. And a morning like this where it's just perfectly clear skies, you got a chance to see it all. Just soak it in. Take a minute and soak it in, folks. Life will pass you by if you don't take a second to stop and smell the roses, as they say. We ain't got no roses out here. And you for damn sure don't want to be sniffing around in my bait cooler. But we got a hell of a sight right there. You can feel, well, you can't feel because you're watching this through your phone or TV set or something, but I can feel the temperature getting hotter already as that sun hits my face. It's gonna get hot fast, but I'm hoping the fishing's gonna be hot today too. I got a feeling it's gonna be. I think we're gonna get on some today. I keep hoping to get on some flatheads, but they have evaded me lately, but the blues the bite's been pretty good overall. So I think we're gonna get some blues, hopefully hook into some big ones. And most importantly, just enjoy the day. Have us some fun out here together. Boy, that's amazing, ain't it? It's like we can't feel time. I'm gonna get all philosophical and crap on you here first thing in the morning. But you can't physically feel time moving. But by God, you can see it. You can literally see the sun rising. You can see the sun setting in the evenings. You can't feel time passing you by, but you can watch time passing you by. So you got to get after it, folks. You got to make the most of every day. You just never know how many days you got left. All right, let's get after it. Good job, team. Let's go. It's still a beautiful sight, but we got fish to catch. So I'm going to come off spot lock here. I'm going to get us turned and get our speed. I'm going to put us about 0.5 mile an hour. Let me turn the camera this way. That way y'all can enjoy the sight while I get us situated here. We're going to set our speed 0.5 mile an hour or so. That way, if we fish 3 or 4 hours, we're going to cover somewhere between 1.5 miles and 2 miles of this ledge. And what I'm doing here on my remote, those of you that want to see that crap, I push that button and that locks us into a heading. This button over here then is your speed control. You push that, it puts you at 1 mile an hour, and then you can hit your plus minus and go up in 0.1 mile an hour increments. So I'm gonna hit it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that should have us 0.5 mile an hour-ish, give or take. One more look at that sunrise though. Amazing sight, folks. We got to get our baits on now. It's okay to stop and smell the roses, but don't spend all day sniffing them. Okay, you gotta get some stuff done. Right now, we got to get a bait on this hook. So we're going to have the same setup on our back rods, the dragon rods, with the skipjack head and the chunk. It's just the rig's going to be different. So if you're new to my channel, if you've never seen me drag baits before, here's the rig. So still 40-pound monofilament line. 3-way swivel. On one part of that swivel, we've got my homemade dragging sinkers, which you can learn how to make these. There's a link down in the video description. They work great. Off of this other end of the swivel, we've got another piece of 80-pound monofilament leader that's probably, I don't know, 4 foot-ish, give or take. It's not an exact science. That comes down to a float. Used to be a rattle on there. I guess that has broken off. Surprise. And then down to our hook, which has the head on this one. So I'm just going to start letting out line on this rod while we get our other one baited over here. This rig, exact same setup with a couple exceptions. This one here obviously still has the rattle attached to it. This one also, about 12, 18 inches off the back of that hook, has a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly. So we'll put our chunk on. We'll start letting out line on this. And now we are officially fishing. Officially fishing. Say that 3 times fast. Let me get the cutting board cleaned up here. I know y'all ain't gonna help me clean house out here. If you did, this place wouldn't be looking as nasty as it is. Look at it. I mean, I got mold, dirt, everything all over this kayak. It needs to be cleaned in a bad way. Yeah, me and you today, folks, so we're gonna have us some fun. We're gonna catch us some fish. I'm gonna tell you some stories. I've had a lot of stuff happen to this point in time over recent days. Let me set my graph here where we can see below us a little better. We're 60 feet deep here where we're at. I gotta get us back over here on this ledge. I'll be making some adjustments as we move along today, because I wanna, it's very important, try to hug the edge of the ledge. You see over here out in the main river channel, and if you can see on the graph, you're looking 61, 62, 63. This ledge drops off real sharp. And then from there, it's just a gradual decline. So I want to work the edge right here on where it starts to come up on the steeper incline. I want to work that. So I got to get us over here a little bit closer to it as we make our way along. So I'll be tinkering with that some. But I'm going to put y'all in the chest today, let you ride. You're going to see everything from now till I pull out of here today, or until the camera battery dies first. But I'm gonna tell you, as hot as it's gonna be today, I think I'm gonna get out of here before the camera battery dies. So y'all gonna see it all, raw and uncut, unedited. Y'all my fishing buddies today. Just like me and you was out here fishing together. Everything that happens, whether it's good stuff like catching fish, or bad stuff like snags or whatever else we may encounter, y'all here for all of it. I'd even let you reel in a fish if I could get you to come through that screen and do it. We get 2 or 3 on at the same time, I'm gonna need you to help me out a little bit. But I'm gonna tell you some stories too. Had a lot go on the last few days, so regular viewers, you've not seen any disruption in my videos because I was several videos ahead. So what I've actually done between the last video you've seen and this one is I took a little break. I have went 5 days now without filming. Because again, I had a little bit of a cushion, a little break. I'm gonna flip these bales over here. I'm gonna let a little more on the right one. So I took a little break. Now, one day I fished with Callie from K&K Fishing Adventures YouTube channel. Callie's from North Dakota. One of my biggest channel supporters. Been a channel member from the very start, has helped me out tremendously there on the live streams back when I was doing those a few years back. And one of the coolest things Callie did for me, back in 2021, my dog, which was the love of my life, it died. Roscoe P. Coltrane, he died. Callie took a picture of me and my dog and had a painting made. And that was pretty cool. And I had told Callie, look at this right here. I think we got a fish on. My gosh, we do. We do. I heard my line. I was still letting out line on this one. He's gonna pull a little bit too now. I was still letting out line and I heard my spool like take off. A fish hit it while we were still letting out some line behind us. All right, folks. Boy, we off to a dang good start. I don't care what this fish is, or as long as it ain't a channel cat. But I don't care what it is, how big it is. We're on the board in a quick, fast, in a hurry here. That's awesome, man. Sometimes it takes a while to get a bite, and sometimes you're on them right away. You just never know. I thought I come down to start where that old creek run in here. And I thought I didn't know how long it'd take me to get out here, but fortunately got out here before the sunrise come up. So I thought we'd sit here, watch the sun come up, and then get on the move. And boy, I love it when a plan comes together. As old Hannibal from the A-Team used to say. Y'all remember the A-Team? Classic show from the 80s. Mr. T, I pity the fool. Murdoch, Face. That show was filmed at the wrong time and point in time though, because you remember Face, he had that Corvette. And I'm not a car guy, but I do like Corvettes. Hopefully someday one of y'all will leave me one as an inheritance or something, because I sure as hell ain't affording it on my own. But Face on that show had a Corvette. And I think it's probably the worst model Corvette, at least from an appearance-wise, that they've ever made. I think he got the short end of the stick on that deal. That's a good fish. Well, I saw him in the light there. He's not as big as I thought. I saw him coming up the glare, made him look bigger. He's a fun sizer. The way the light made him, the light and the glare, when I got a look at him coming up, I thought he was about twice as big as he is. But you know what? By gosh, that's a start. That's a solid start right there. I'll take it. I hope it's the first of many today. I hope we hook us a whopper out here today is what I want. When I've had a break like I had, again, I'm gonna tell you the whole break situation that I've took here. Taking a few days off. Anytime I take a solid break like this, where I've had a few days, when I get back after it, I'm really ready to get on them, man. So that's where we're at today. Let me set y'all up here. Y'all get up here in the front seat, because this fish probably gonna act a fool. And he's probably gonna splash us and everything. And I'm looking out for y'all's needs. I'm gonna try to make sure y'all don't get wet. Come here, fish. You wanna come in and get your picture taken or something? Yeah, fun sizer. I'll take that. Hold yourself up there, fish. Look at that sunrise. You ever seen a sunrise before, fish? You say you watch it every day, you come up to the water surface and just look at it? He's never seen it outside the water though. There's a glare. He's enjoying it in all its beauty over there. You're welcome, fish. I've done you a solid today. This fish, he'll send me a thank you card. Get on out of here. The stamp prices have gone up. Make sure you accommodate me. The mail service will return that postcard to that fish for not putting enough postage on it. They keep raising the stamp prices all the time. I don't know when enough is enough. All right, let's get you all back here in the chest. We're gonna put another bait on. I'm gonna keep tinkering with this. We're kind of going around. It makes like a bend here, kind of. We're gonna have to keep tinkering with it until we get it where we need to be. Cut us this bait up and we're gonna send it back out. I hear a bald eagle. I don't know if y'all can hear him squawking over there or not. With my fancy microphone, he might be so far away you can't hear him, but them bald eagles got such a unique sound. You hear them up in the trees, you can kind of know it's them. Throw that tail back there. Okay, let's see what we can do. That fish, I mean, that bait was sitting there. Because we hadn't started pulling it yet. I was still letting out the line. And just happened to hear the bait peeling off, or the line peeling off behind us. So we'll keep that in mind as we make our way along. If we're not catching fish on the move, maybe we sit still and get in front of one of these creek mouths and just sit there, possibly. Or if we see fish, if we come up on a pile of fish on the graph or something and we happen to see them, maybe we'll sit there. We'll play around today. I mean, I come out here with the notion that we were going to troll, that we were just going to take a section of the sledge and just go today, because that's what's been working lately. That's what's been catching me the bulk of the fish. But I'm not married to it. Oh, front rod. Gave us a little love tap. I'm not married to that plan or this technique. Like, if it ain't working, I'm not opposed to mixing things up, switching it up. I want to catch fish today, whatever it's going to take. So, but yeah, it took me a little break, y'all. I had fished with Callie. Callie, again, had done so much for me. I had told her if she ever found her way down in Tennessee, you know, I'd try to fish with her, take her out, go fishing. And so she's from North Dakota and drove 14 hours down here this past week to vacation. Stayed at a campground and go do some tourism stuff around Tennessee and whatnot. And so I went over there and visited at the campground one evening, took Daphne the dog over there and hung out for an hour or so. And then, as this back rod over here was getting tapped, and got some fish in this area, folks. But we ended up going out with my friend Mark, who he used to run Deuce's Wild fishing charters. He don't guide anymore. But Callie's got a fear of drowning, so she wasn't comfortable going out in the kayak. So my friend Mark, he's got that boat, a Sea Arc boat. It's like 24 foot long. It's like, you stand in that boat, it's like standing in the middle of your living room. It's a stable. And so I called him up, and he had some availability, so he took us out. And I talked about in the last video there, possibly filming that trip with Callie, but I feel like when I'm filming, I can't. They say a jack of all trades is a master of none. You got to focus on what you're doing. So if I'm filming, then I need to be focusing on filming, talking to you all, making sure the lighting, where I'm at, the relation to the sun as far as filming, like I got to be focused on all that stuff. If I'm fishing with somebody and the goal is to try to help them and try to get footage for them, Callie's got a YouTube channel. You know, she wanted to get some video footage and stuff. If I'm doing that, then I need to focus on that. It's hard for me to go back and forth on both and do both effectively. So I talked to Callie about it, and Callie was cool with me filming or not filming. She didn't really care. And so, again, I was a few videos ahead, and I was like, you know, it'd be nice to just kind of just not fool with my camera, not film, just take a day. Take a day to enjoy some fishing, make sure we get her some footage and all that, make sure she has a good trip. So that's what I did. So K&K Fishing Adventures, I don't know when Callie will have her video out, but you'll see the fish caught on there. I'm flipping this bail over on this rod with the chunk on it here behind us. But that video will be out, and I didn't film. We just focused on her. We had a good day. We caught, memory serves me, I think 14 fish, she said we caught. We lost count out there, but she messaged me afterwards when she had reviewed the footage, I guess, and said we got, I think it was 13 or 14 fish. And we broke her PB. We broke her PB right away, and then we broke it again later in the morning, and the last fish of the day was like 30 pounds. And so broke it again for a third time, which was pretty cool. So we had a productive session out there, and we were dragging baits. Mark, he's got that big boat, and he likes pulling planer boards and stuff. So that's what we were doing. But yeah, had a really good trip, and that was so that was last Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I took completely off from fishing. I did not go on the water at all. I was doing some stuff around the house, just kind of relaxing a little bit, just took a couple days. Monday, I'd hired somebody to come out and clear some brush. So my channel members, I do some behind the scenes videos for my channel members around my house, kind of behind the scenes life and times of I live a fairly boring life, but some people are interested in knowing what's going on with me. I film some stuff for them. And I've showed them my property, how the way the land is, there's some brush, some blackberries, kudzu, shrubs, small trees and stuff. My property boundary marker has been buried in that stuff, and I have not, or so I thought. And I hadn't been able to find it. Well, my neighbor come over that I share the very far corner of my property. Him and I share a corner. And I've been there 18 years. I'd never talked to this guy before. Well, he showed up at my house there last week, wanting to take a look at my carport. He's building him one. And while he was there, I asked him, I said, you don't happen to know where that boundary marker is, do you, that from our corner over? He said, yeah, I know where it's at. I'll show you. Well, come to find out, I've been tromping around through them blackberry bushes looking for that marker. Hell, come to find out, the marker is on what I thought was his land, because he's been trying to get control of that brush too. So he had cut part of that brush over onto me and been keeping it mowed off. So I've been looking in the wrong spot for that daggone marker. So I was like, well, what do you know? Turns out I own a big portion of this that I didn't know. And so I get like, well, I'm gonna have this cleared off now that I know it's for sure mine. I'm gonna have all that cleared down ground level. I'll sow it with grass, I'll expand my fence, yada, yada, yada. And I'm in a kind of a rush to do it now because this other girl in front of me, she's moving. I'm gonna have a new neighbor. And so I really need to make sure that these boundaries are clearly defined before the new people come in. Just, in case they end up being just total tools or something. You never know what you're getting with a new neighbor. So I hired a woman, and you heard that right. I hired a woman to come out and clear this brush off. Now I know normally when you think of, and this is very sexist of me to say this, but when you think of a heavy machine operator, you typically think I think of like 50-something-year-old men. Okay, I know that's sexist to say, but like stereotype, that's typically what's operating heavy machinery. Well, I reached out and this woman come over and real nice, seemed very knowledgeable. I liked her. I said, she quoted me a price and I said, you're hired. So she come out on Monday. So again, I took Saturday, Sunday off. She comes Monday to clear this brush. And she had back rod. Well, something love tapped it a couple times. But she had I believe it's a skid steer. It kind of looks like a bobcat, but I believe it's a little bigger. But it has I believe it's called a forestry head. But it's this spinning thing that just mows through the brush. I mean, blackberries, small trees. This brush was probably, it's taller than me. It's probably 8 foot tall. All this stuff, shrubbery and whatnot. Real thick too. Man, she plowed through that stuff. I mean, it's chewing that stuff up and spitting it out. I mean, all the way down to ground level. And so she knocked it out quick too. And I had her come over and on the other side of my driveway, I'd cleared an area last year in front of my fence. It's still wooded, but I'd cleared it out, and there's a lot of like small stumps and just stobs right there that just trip you if you're trying to walk through that area. I had her make a couple passes through there, and boy, she really cleared that up nice too. So anyhow, she gets that crap down to ground level. Well, it's still a lot of debris there, and I want to be able to sow it in grass. So she's coming back tomorrow. I'm filming this today. She's coming back tomorrow. I'm going to bring another attachment on her machine and smooth all that up real good. That way I'll have it ready to sow here. If the weather ever cools down, fall is allegedly the best time to sow grass. They say in my area in East Tennessee, late August, fish. Oh, you let it go. They say late August to early October is the best time to sow grass. And so it's still miserable hot right now, so I'm gonna wait until it starts to cool, but I'd like to have this area ready to go to sow grass. So she's coming tomorrow and gonna finish all that up, and I'm gonna have her fix my drive. I got a big dip in my driveway down by the road, and she's gonna bring some gravel and get that done too. But yeah, again, it's sexist for me to say this, but you typically think of that kind of work being like a older man, 50-something-year-old man. That's typically what I think of. But she did a great job, and very fair price, I felt like. So I'm pretty happy with her. Pretty happy with the work she's done. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But so far, round one of her work, I feel like she did real good. So she's coming tomorrow, and she had come. So I'm filming this Wednesday. Boy, this is y'all losing track here. You need to bust out your calendar, get your agenda out here so you can keep track of my damn timeline. So she came on Monday. Yesterday, I went out and got us some bait. And so I finally, y'all, last week, I finally got on a pile of skipjack. Like, got a cooler full. And you know what? I've been talking about this for the last 2 or 3 weeks. If I got on some skipjack, I was going to go down to Alabama because we got this tournament coming up here real soon on Wheeler, and I need to get some practice sessions in, try to figure out a pattern, a plan, what I want to do, where I want to go. But I ain't been able to get enough bait to justify going down there. Well, I finally got on some skipjack last week, but I had that trip with Callie planned. So, boy, they're tearing us up back there, man. They keep biting and tugging, but they ain't hooking up. It must be small fish. Every time I turn around, turn the camera over there, they've let it go. Y'all tell them small ones to leave it alone now. We got plenty of bait, but I ain't wasting it on them small fish. We're after the big ones today. Daggone fish. But I've been wanting to go to Alabama and practice, but I ain't been able to get no bait. Not enough to justify going down there. And I finally got on some, but then I had the trip planned with Callie, so I couldn't take off and go. And I thought, well, that's fine. I'll get my land done on Monday. I'll go out yesterday and get us some bait, and then I'll take off and go to Alabama this week. And so I did. I went out yesterday morning. The skipjack were still there where I've been getting them. I got us a cooler full. I'm like, great, I'm going to Alabama. Well, the woman who done my land, she messaged me yesterday there after I got home, and she's like, because, she was coming back to finish up, and she said and she had some other jobs too, so she couldn't give me a date there on Monday, but she said, I can work you in this Thursday, or I can come back next Thursday. And I was like, in my mind, at first I was like, well, if she comes this Thursday, I ain't gonna get to go to Alabama. because my plan was I was getting bait yesterday. I was going to fish down there today, Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday, and then drive back home Thursday afternoon. So if she comes Thursday, I obviously want to be there while she's working, keep an eye on things, and be able to pay her when she gets done. So I thought about it, and I was like, well, if I don't have it done this week, and next Thursday rolls around, and maybe the weather's bad, and she can't do it then it'll just the can will keep getting kicked down the road. I'd rather just go ahead and get it done. Get it over with while the weather's good, the forecast's looking good for tomorrow and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and just get it done. And so I thought, well, we'll just put off the Alabama trip. And so I'm gonna fish today out here, Watts Bar. Tomorrow I'll be there at the house while she's getting her work done. And then Friday we'll fish somewhere locally, weather permitting. I think the weather's gonna be okay Friday. Fish somewhere reasonable drive for me. And then try to get down to Alabama next week, assuming I still stay on the skipjack. Speaking of bait, here goes this one floating by right there. That's a shad right there, floating by. We could have scooped that thing up, but I don't need it. I got a whole cooler full of bait. Skipjack, I finally got on a good bite. I'm hoping that bite's gonna last. But here's the other thing too, with putting off the Alabama trip for at least another week. So I mentioned that my videos were a little bit ahead. I was ahead again, about 2 weeks or so. This video today, I believe, is going to come out on September 11th, I think. I think that's when today's video would have been scheduled for. Our tournament is on the 14th. So, in theory, if I was in Alabama fishing right now, getting ready for the tournament, then that video from that trip would come out 3 days before our tournament, which is terrible timing because, and it don't matter if I got on fish or not, let's say I had a good day. Let's say I had a real good day, and that's where I ended up wanting to go on tournament day. Well, and then I've just tipped my hand to all my competition by posting that video 3 days before the tournament. I've just told them exactly where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing. So that's stupid. The other thing is, let's say I didn't have a good day. I would have obviously needed to have a good enough day to justify posting the video for y'all. I'm not going to post a skunk trip or anything. But let's say I had an okay day. Maybe we caught some fish, but nothing spectacular, and I didn't want to go fish that area on tournament day. Well, that's valuable information too to people that you're fishing against. I'm essentially, by posting the video, I would be doing part of their pre-fishing for them, showing them what I'm doing, where I'm at, what's working, what's not working. All of that's information that will ultimately be used against me on tournament day if they have that information. So by waiting to next week to go down to start getting ready for the tournament, then the first video that comes out from the Alabama trip will be after the tournament's already over. So I won't be tipping my hand to anybody that I'm going to be fishing against. So that was another reason for my rationale of going ahead and having this lady go ahead and finish the work around my house, get it done. I feel fairly competent in my abilities. I've got confidence in what I do, but Nick Saban's the best college football coach of all time, and I hate saying that because I'm a Tennessee fan and he dominated us at Alabama for so long, but it's the truth. It's just fact. You can't deny it. Nick Saban is the best college football coach of all time. But you know what? Even when he was playing some cupcake school, he wasn't handing over his playbook to the other team. He wasn't just giving them their plays before they went out there on the field. And when I post a video of tournament practice prior to the tournament, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm giving my competition the playbook. And so that's just not smart. I mean, the competition, these tournaments already pretty daggone good. You don't want to give them any edge. You don't want to give them any information as far as what's working, what ain't, what type of structure you're catching fish on, what depth, what bait's working well, if you're trolling or dragging, what speed. You know, any little nugget of info a person can gain could mean the difference in them getting on fish or not, them caching, them not, you caching versus you not. Like it's all important. So that'll allow me, if today's trip, assuming we get some more fish here, and I think we will, this video I'm pretty sure would come out on the 11th. Whatever I film Friday would be, I guess, either tournament day or the day after. However, I've got it scheduled out. And then, so Alabama trips would be after that. And so it would really work out. It would really work out better. And I just like getting stuff done. I don't like stuff hanging over me, projects left half unfinished and whatnot. I don't like doing that. I just want to get it all done. And so I want her to come back, finish everything up. Is this fish going to eat it? Is he got it? There's weight on that rod tip. Nope. Pulled it right out of his mouth. You can see how bad I want to catch fish today. It's been a while. When we fished with Callie on Friday, let her reel in all the fish. She don't have blues back home, so I wanted her to just reel in everything. And of course, I didn't fish Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yesterday, just a bait run. I'm ready to catch a catfish, y'all. Like I'm ready to do it. So yeah, I don't like having all that stuff hanging over me. So I want to go ahead and get it done, get it over with. I've also, too, another reason, good to be home today. Well, I mean, you know, I'll be home later, out here on the water right now, obviously. But be home later, so I got some packages coming. I've ordered some stuff, y'all, and one of them y'all are going to make fun of me about. And I want you to hear me out before you start making fun of me. There's a reason why I have ordered this. I'm not turning, well, some of y'all would say I've already turned soft. But when you hear what I've ordered, I know what your first thought's going to be, like, a big splash up there. Some of you are going to be like, this is 3 strikes, Justin. But I've ordered me a sewing kit. I'm going to learn how to sew. And again, hear me out. Before your laughter commences here, just hear me out. I'm not looking to learn how to embroidery. I'm not looking to learn how to sew some quilts for the Arts and Crafts Festival. This is utilitarian. So before you go clicking off thinking this is strike 3, because I know a lot of you done think I've turned soft anyway from my sales pitch / rants on the bidets to me going to the Asian spas and getting my toes done. Now I'm ordering a sewing kit that's going to push some of you over the edge. You're like, Justin, that's 3 strikes. I'm out of here. But hear me out. Listen, first off, the bidet, yes, that is 100%. Like, I fully back the bidet. As this fish backs off the bait again. Man, they're tugging on these baits. Keep chewing us up down there. We're going to have to reel them in here soon and replace them. They keep getting nipped. But I fully, man, I'll argue about the bidets till I am blue in the face. Folks, it is 2024. There is no reason anybody should still be wiping their hind end with toilet paper. We are not Neanderthals. Bidets, they make them, you can attach them to your, and I'm the least mechanically inclined person on the face of the earth. I was able to install the bidet on my toilet. You don't have to have a separate bidet like in the old days. Like it attaches under your toilet seat. Connect it to your water line there for the commode, and you can pressure wash your hind end, okay? There's no reason to be using toilet paper still. There's no reason. It's just, we're not Neanderthals. If you slipped and fell and your hand landed in a pile of dog crap, you wouldn't take toilet paper and wipe it off with. You'd go wash your hands, right? But yet when it comes to our hind ends, people are still taking toilet paper and wiping the crap off. It's not clean, it's not sanitary. You need to be pressure washing your hind ends. So I am a big time supporter of the bidet. I believe in it. When I travel somewhere and I don't have access to the bidet, I regret it. I always regret traveling. Why is it that, I ain't gonna go on why hotels don't have bidets in 2024, but they should. Everywhere you go should have a bidet. They are so cheap. You're looking at $100, and I bet you, mine was a Christmas present a few years ago, and back then they were $100, but I bet you they've come down in price more. And I bet you if you got like a holiday sale, like a Black Friday type sale, or maybe like an Amazon Prime Day, I bet you get them even cheaper now. You probably get one thing's $50. So the money you're gonna save in toilet paper is gonna pay for the bidet. And don't tell me this, well, your water bill is gonna go up. Bullarchy. My water bill ain't went up 1 penny since I got the thing. I mean, how nasty are you that you're gonna use 20 gallons of water to clean your hind end? It don't take that much to spray you off. It don't. So everybody should have a bidet. So that, you wanna knock me for that, you go ahead, because I own it. The other thing, me going to the Asian spas, get my toes done. Listen, that started out as a little bit of a joke, okay? My parents, my girlfriend, they give me a hard time about it because they all go. They thought, they're gonna get me a gift certificate. They're gonna have a little fun at my expense, me going out there, a little joke. Well, you know what? Joke's on them, because it turns out I liked it. I didn't like it at first, but it turns out that I like having some Asian women rub on my feet. I like having smooth feet when I go to put socks on or slide my feet under the sheets in bed. I like it, so I kept going back. That's the key to the happy life, folks. A clean ass and smooth feet is the secret to a happy life. All of you should try it out. Every time I meet somebody new and they shake my hand, the first thought that goes in my head is like, I bet this Neanderthal's still using toilet paper, and they've wiped their ass with this hand that I'm now shaking. That's the first thing I think of. So anyway, I know y'all have heard me go on about this, the Asian spas and the bidets. Y'all have heard me talk about it forever, and some of you have been like, boy, if he does one more thing like this, I'm out of here. Well, here it is. I've ordered a sewing kit. I'm going to learn how to sew. But it's not because I'm going to be going to arts and crafts festivals. I'm not going to be embroidering handkerchiefs for old women. I'm not. I had an accident yesterday, y'all. And I guess this is just the universe telling me that maybe I've put on a few extra pounds. I don't know. But I'm out there catching us some bait. And I was in my other kayak, my pedal kayak. And I'm pedaling along. I'm fishing. I'm minding my own business. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, just bam, my seat caves in. Like the fabric, the material, it just caves in on me. Next thing you know, like my whole butt falls down. It's like some of you have probably seen them videos of a fat person sitting in the chair, and the chair just falls out from under them to they can't support the weight. That's me. Has he got it this time? All right, we got us one here. This one's hooked up. I don't think we want him, but we got one. And we're gonna cut another bait too. We're gonna switch out both these baits because they both been getting just nipped all the way down through here. We'll go ahead and put a new bait on. These baits are probably in such bad shape at this point, and they need to be switched out anyway. I know it ain't been very long that we've had them in the water, but as much as they've been hit, they're probably in just bad condition. Just been going through a pile of small fish. This one here is going to be tiny. I wonder if he ain't got the fly. I don't know how he could have maybe got that hook. At least as big as he feels anyway. Yeah, it is. It's on the fly. They've knocked the bait off. It's possible we've been going down through there with no bait on it for a while with the way they've been pecking. This right here though, folks, is why I like running a fly on my rigs, because you end up getting some extra fish on an artificial bait. And you can see that hook, man, he ate that thing in the mouth. It's not like it's a accidental catch like a foul hook or anything. I mean, he ate that fly. Catfish are predators. They will eat artificial lures if you get it in front of them. And so having that piece of cut bait up front, you're putting off that scent and the oils and stuff, and then you've got a artificial bait like this fly trailing behind it, and you catch you some extra fish. This one here, obviously we didn't. We could have went without catching this fish. No bigger than he is, but it is another bite nonetheless, and I was going to reel that bait in soon anyway, so this just gives us an opportunity to go ahead and get that done now. And then I'm going to tell you, before y'all click off and say you're never watching me again because of the bidets, the Asian spas, and now the fact I'm going to learn how to sew. I know you can think that you're pulling my man card. I know it. But I'm going to tell you why I'm having to learn how to sew. And this accident that happened to me yesterday, damn near embarrassing. It's like the universe telling me I'm fat or something. Couldn't believe it. Hang on, though. We're going to get this bait out here first. Actually, I need to clip them bottom fins off there, too. There we go. We're 61 feet right now, so I'm not... Them front suspended baits are up a little higher than I would ideally like, but I would rather them be higher than lower, and we'll do that today. We'll let them end up getting a little higher, just so we don't have to tinker with them all the time. Now, if we come up in shallower water, we'll certainly raise them, because have I got a fish on here? By gosh, I do. We got another one, folks. I wonder how long we've been pulling this one along. Or I wonder if he hit while we were dealing with the other one. Because I didn't notice. Now this rig here ain't got no fly on it. I gotta tie me up. That's one thing I haven't done lately, is tie any more new rigs. So I gotta do that, but this one's just on the hook, so we know for sure this one's at least big enough to eat the head bait and get the hook. Or unless he just, you know, one of them freak things and got the hook somehow. Sometimes that happens. Well, that worked out, because we were gonna switch it out anyway, so. Them fish heard that was their last chance to get that bait. They better take advantage right now. I mean, I know we ain't got nothing big yet, but that's 3 fish now that we've landed, plus several other fish that have been nipping. Like, I feel like we've got an active morning going on here. If we get our baits in front of a big fish, they're probably going to bite. It won't just be these little fish that are active. The big ones will be active right now too. Yeah, it's bigger than the last one there, but still smaller. I don't even think he's got the hook. I think the bait is wedged in his mouth. I think the bait is wedged. I think it's sideways in there. Look how that bait is. Look how it is. It's sideways. I think he's got the bait wedged. Well, maybe he does have the hook. I tried to just pop it out. It looked like it was just, it looks like it's just wedged. Okay, there's the hook. It's coming out the bottom lip there. Be careful, I'm gonna cut my line with them pliers. I can't reach in there the way that hook's coming out the bottom. Here, fish, come on in like this, why don't you? I can see what's going on. And I ain't trying to get no hook in the hand today. There we go. Here, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do you a solid, fish, because look at this bait, man. They have destroyed that bait. I'm gonna do you a solid, fish. I'm feeding the hungry children like Sally Struthers out here today. Watch this. You wanted it, you can have it. You're welcome. Get on out of here now. I done fed you. You going home. That fish, I fed him. I served him up. Hell of a service I provided to you. You know he didn't tip me? You know, I'm against the whole tipping culture. I think we're tipping too many things in society today. We're tipping too many people's expecting tips. But you saw me hand feed that fish, and he wouldn't even leave me 10% on the bill? Come on. That's just rude. Here's our next bait going out to. Get it going out. Our other one should be ready to flip the bail over here. Oh yeah, we need to flip that over. Well, 2 more fish, man. 2 more fish. Got 2 fresh baits on. Don't really need to mess with the front baits yet, because they, even though the dragging baits have been getting nipped, the front ones ain't been getting messed with. And that's kind of been how it's been lately. Just the last video I filmed there, I tried to do some suspend fishing, and it was the only option I offered them. I just anchored down, suspended to, and we got some fish. But the quality of the bite, the number, it wasn't there like it has been dragging. It's just been they've wanted a dragging bait lately. They've wanted a moving bait. And even though the suspending baits, they're moving too, it's just something about the presentation that's different, that they've wanted they preferred the draggy. I don't know why. I don't know why. They just have. Anyway, I'm gonna let out a little bit more line on this one here behind us and tell you, try to get out this story, what happened. So I'm trolling along yesterday, and the bottom of my seat just randomly falls out. And again, this is my pedal kayak I'm talking about here. It's my Old Town. It's a 2021 model. So it's only 3 years old. And I don't use that kayak all the time. I mean, I probably use that kayak more than what their average customer uses it, who's in that, where that may be their only kayak. But that's just because of this YouTube crap and the fact I'm filming and fishing more. That's the only reason why. But I mean, as far as just my personal usage, I'm probably in this kayak here probably 70% of the time, the other one 30% of the time. So I get a fair number of trips in it, but it's not been heavily used. And when you look at my weight, I'm well under the weight rating of the seat. Like, I mean, I'm putting on a few pounds in older age, but I'm not fat. At least I didn't think I was until yesterday, when I'm pedaling along and all of a sudden just, boom, the damn stitching breaks and falls out on the seat. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. So I finish out the trip. Thankfully, I had our bait pretty well caught, and I was on my way back to the car anyway when it happened. A little bit of an uncomfortable pedal with your ass hanging down under the under the metal frame of the seat. I looked like a fool going down through there. As Mr. T would say, I pity the fool. He was pitying me yesterday as my ass is hanging down, trying to pedal that thing. So I go home yesterday and I call Old Town customer service. And I've dealt with their customer service in the past when I'd had that Old Town autopilot and the motor tore up on me. And it tore up twice, and both times under warranty, they handled it, no problems. Well, guess what? Because my kayak is 3 years old, I'm out of the warranty now. The hull of that Old Town kayak has a lifetime warranty. The hull itself. The pedal drive in that kayak has a 5-year warranty. Everything else on the kayak, the seat, well, I guess it would just be the seat. I mean, what else? What other accessories are there on the kayak other than the seat? I guess that's probably the rudder. I guess would be another one. But the things like that, I guess the seat, the rudder, stuff that attaches to the kayak, it only has a 1-year warranty. So I'm out of the warranty on the seat. And I'm like, well, crap, you know, fine, whatever. So I was like, what is the price for the fabric? I didn't know what it was called, but you know what I'm talking about. Like I was trying to explain it to the girl, and I didn't think she understood. But the material, the fabric material that goes over the frame of the seat, like how much is that? Because I'm thinking $20, $30. I'm willing to pay it because I need my seat back. Oh, fish. Oh no, he let it go. I thought that one was hooked up good. As soon as I picked up, he let it go. But yeah, I'm thinking $20, $30 maybe, plus some shipping. And I'll put this fabric over the seat frame and I'm good to go again. Well, guess what? Would you believe they don't sell that? No. You got a problem with the fabric, if the stitching just tears out like mine did, guess what? You got to buy a whole new seat. $192. I'm like, and I'm arguing with the girl, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. $192, all I need is the fabric part. I don't need the whole, the frame is metal, like it's fine. I just need the fabric, like the one half of this side and the right side, I guess the right side of my ass is fatter than the left. The stitching broke. Like it just ripped out. I'm like, that's all I need. And she's like, I'm sorry, we don't sell that. We only sell like the whole seat. I'm like, honey, I ain't paying you $192. I'm like, somebody out there in the aftermarket world has to come up with like a seat, you know. So I'm like, I hung up on her. I was pissed off at her. And it ain't her fault. I shouldn't have lashed out at her. But at the same time too, it's like, your seat, I know we're out of warranty. I know we are. But the stitching in your seat shouldn't be falling apart. I'm not fat. I'm well under the weight rating. I'm under the weight rating of this seat by over 100 pounds. And the kayak doesn't get used nearly as much as what I normally fit, you know, like I use it maybe 30% of the time. So like that shouldn't happen. That's a defect. That's not something me abusing it or wear and tear, like that's a defect. Regardless though, they're not going to do anything about it. So I was like, fine, somebody's going to make a replacement. There's probably an aftermarket, a second company, something. So I get online, I go on Facebook and I get on the Old Town fishing group there. And I made a post and I posted a picture of my seat and explained what happened and that I'd called customer service and I was going to buy a new seat and was asking people if they had if they knew of any places that sold like the replacement or whatever. And a couple people got on there. The first guy that responded said he had the same thing happen to him and he wasn't going to buy the seat, so he sewed it back. And so I commented, I said, well, thank you, that's a good idea. I can't sew, but I'm sure I can find somebody to sew it for me because, you know, I go to these Asian spas and get my toes done. I'm the only man in there. It's a bunch of old women getting their toes done. I'm sure one of them knows how to quilt. I mean, it's a bunch of old ladies at these pedicure places. Like one of them knows how to, I ain't trying to be sexist or anything, but when I think of somebody who knows how to sew quilts and whatnot, I think of an old lady. The same way of when I think about somebody operating heavy machinery, I think of a 50-year-old man. There's a reason stereotypes exist. It's because that's typically who is doing whatever task it is you're thinking of. So surely to goodness, if I walk into the Asian spa on a busy day and there's a whole line full of old ladies getting their toes done, one of them surely is going to know how to sew. And so next time I'm in there, I'm like, well, I'll just strike up a conversation. Well, this guy replied back to my reply where I'd thanked him. And I'd said, you know, I didn't know how to sew, but I'm sure I could find somebody. He said he didn't know how to sew either, but he watched a video on how to do it and he taught himself. And he told me it was called a back stitch method that I need to use. And so I get on the YouTube. You can learn how to do anything on YouTube. And I watched a 1-minute video on how to backstitch, and I'm like, well, I think I can do that. So I placed an order yesterday for some outdoor thread for like tents and tarps and stuff like that. I ordered it on Amazon and I got me some sewing needle kit, like the size, that had the size of needles they recommended for that thread. And it's supposed to arrive today, which is surprising in itself because I just ordered it yesterday. And I know Amazon Prime used to come with 1-day shipping on a lot of items, but that was pre-COVID. Since then, I've been paying for a Prime membership and having to wait a week to get all my stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what's up, but allegedly it's coming today. My sewing kit. So before y'all start trying to revoke my man card again because I'm going to learn how to sew, understand I don't want to learn how to sew. I'm not entering any craft fairs. Is this rod's continuing to get pecked? They're chewing up that new head bait down there. Y'all tell them to leave them baits alone till the one's on this one. That fish come up over there splashing, laughing at us. Daggone fish. I think them baits there behind us, the creek right here, dumps out there behind us, that's probably about where our baits are at, or right up from it, so could be some fish there potentially. But yeah, I ain't wanting to learn how to sew just for the hell of it. I'm not entering any arts and crafts festivals. This is strictly utility because I don't want to spend $192 on a seat when all I need is the seat I have to be properly sewn. So hopefully, watching the video of this backstitch method, hopefully I can sew better than the people in China where this seat came from. Because Old Town will tell you they're American made, and they are. They build the kayaks over there up in Maine, which Maine is so far north you could argue they're not really American at that point. That's a different class of people up there. They speak English, but it's a different kind of accent. You know what I mean? Like they're way up there. They're damn near Canada, but they're technically still America. And they'll tell you though they make their kayaks made in America. But where do all the supplies and materials come from? China. So somebody over there in China sewed my seat and they did a poor job of it. And I'm going to try to do it better than them. So yeah, but anyway, y'all, don't be revoking my man. You want to revoke it over the bidets? Fine. You want to revoke it because I'm going to the Asian spas and getting my toes done? Fine. But don't do it over me sewing because I don't want to sew. I'm just going to have to. So I'm hoping this kit comes today because I'd like to use that kayak again soon. That's my favorite kayak. I'm pissed off at Old Town right now, but I do love that kayak. It's my favorite kayak I've ever had. So, and where I'm getting bait at right now, I finally got on some skipjack, a good population of them. I've scrounged all summer long to get us enough to fish with, but finally got on a good population of them. And so that's been nice. But where I'm putting in at, I need to be able to use that kayak because I got to launch at a place that ain't really a good place to launch a kayak like this that's heavy and you need to back it a long ways into the water to get it off the trailer. Like my other kayak, I can just set it off the trailer and slide in on the river edge there. So I need that kayak back in commission, man. $192 damn on that seat. You lost your mind. I told that girl, I said, you're crazy. You thought I'm not paying $192. I need the stitching fixed on this seat. So I'm gonna do it my damn self. That's one of my projects today. Here's the other thing I mentioned. I got a few packages coming today. But one of these is a fairly big delivery. And I swore I'd never do this again. So last year, my longer term viewers here, you've probably heard me go on about this. I ordered some furniture last year off of Amazon. I got a new bed, like a bed frame, and I bought a dresser to match it. And the bed frame went together fairly easily. It took a little time, and like I've mentioned before, I'm not really mechanically inclined. Like everybody's got skills, things they're good at in life, things they're not good at. Like this fish here, he's good at getting hooked. Let's reel in another one. It's on the chunk, or the fly. All right, we're continuing to get some bites here. I don't think this one's going to be very good quality though. I want to catch a whopper out here today. This is going to be another dinkity doodah. This one's, he's going to try to knock that other fish off as the smallest one of the day so far, I think anyway. Let's see if we get a look at him, but he don't feel very big. As long as he's a blue though, I'll allow it. If he's a channel cat, then we'll just pretend it didn't happen. He should be getting close. I can't see, I'm looking right into the sun. That sun was beautiful at sunrise, but now that's another one on the fly. He's left the bait on though. Y'all hear that bald eagle over there? He sees this fish, he said, that's breakfast. I'd give it to him too if he flew over here. All right, folks, got us another one here on the fly. Let's bring you in. I think that fly's going through the bottom lip. Don't want to wear it, fish. Don't want no piercings today. Give me that thing back. There we go. Well, fish, you've left us the bait on, but I'm gonna go ahead and, since we've got a surplus, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it out because Lord knows it's been hit several times there before that fish actually got the fly. So throw out that tail right there too. They can munch on that a little while. Maybe they'll leave our other baits alone. They can have this one too. Throw that down. I should have gave that to that other fish. He'd have probably choked to death if I tried putting that down his throat. Okay. Well, another bite nonetheless. Y'all catching some fish today. We ain't got the quality yet, but y'all are at least catching them. I'm proud of you today. Start letting that line on it as we make our way along still. About 59 feet. Depth's been pretty consistent so far. But, yeah, so last year I got that bed and I got the dresser. And I put them things together and I got it done. But the dresser, my gosh, y'all, between the fact I ain't particularly skilled with tools and the fact that the directions were written with English as the second or third language, it took me all daggone day. I mean, I spent hours putting that dresser together. Hours. And I said, you know what? I ain't never ordered no furniture on Amazon again. Like, I ain't doing it. I'm gonna go somewhere. If I ever need another piece of furniture, I'm gonna go somewhere and buy it where it's already put together. And well, fast forward a year, here we are. I've bought a desk. So, and I don't do much editing anymore on this channel, as you can see. I do edited videos I've been putting on my second channel, but outside of a tournament, I'm not editing on the main channel anymore. The edited videos, I don't enjoy editing. They're a big time suck for me. You know, it takes a lot of time to do it. Those videos don't get viewed as much as these unedited ones. So I'm like, you know what? If the editing process is something I don't want to do, and these unedited videos get so many more views anyway, well, why bother editing? So outside of taking some of these better trips on the unedited videos and maybe shrinking them down over the course of the winter and posting them on my second channel, beyond that, I'm not going to be doing much editing anymore outside of the tournament videos. But nevertheless, I have been wanting a desk for the computer, because the desk I have had, and this, y'all might find this funny or pathetic or both. Hold on, let me flip this. Let me flip that bail over there on that back rod there. We'll get to pulling that thing along. The desk I have had, y'all, I'm 42 years old. The desk I have had since I was a small child. I can remember, this is how old this desk was. I can remember playing Atari on a black and white TV set on that desk. That's how old that thing is. I've had it my entire life. Far back as I can remember, I've had that desk. And because that desk was originally bought as like a child's desk for me to sit there and practice writing, basic stuff you do 4 or 5 years old, it's made for, you know, it's a small desk. It's a really small desk. And so now my laptop, you put my laptop on this desk, like the laptop takes the entire space, like front to back of the desk, width-wise anyway. And so I mostly just edit, or whatever computer work I need to do, I'll do it at my kitchen table or on the couch or something. And so my kitchen table ends up being kind of cluttered between the computer, the power cords, my battery chargers for the camera batteries and stuff, and hard drives, and my kitchen table's a cluttered mess. Every day I walk in, I look at that, I'm like, I need to do something about that. And then I don't. And then I walk in again, like, I need to do something about that. And then I don't. Well, I finally done something about it. So I ordered me a desk to go in this. I've got, my house is a 3-bedroom house. And I don't have any kids or anything. So those other 2 bedrooms are pretty much empty. They're just, I've got Daphne's crate in one of them. I've got some stuff in one of the closets, but beyond that, they're pretty much empty. And I had that desk in one of them, my old desk. And so I'm like, I'm gonna turn that into, I'm gonna put a better desk in there, put my computer and all that in there, and get that stuff out of the kitchen as they're chewing up this head. Dang fish, leave it alone. So I found me one on Amazon, and the desk looks good. The measurements work out to how I want it. I measured everything off there in the room. And I ordered this thing, and it was cheap. It was like $109, I think. I think after tax and everything, it was like $119. Boy, that was a big splash right there. I wonder what that was. I was looking the other way. I guess y'all were too, because the camera was going this way. But it was like, I think it was like $119 after tax and all. So it's fairly inexpensive desk, and it looks real nice. But after I placed the order, and it's supposed to arrive today, I got to thinking about that dresser. And all the cuss words I was saying, and the hours I was in the floor trying to put this screw into board number 43, and yeah, and then having to take it back apart because I put them on the wrong side or upside down. And like, boy, this desk is probably going to be the same. I don't think the desk has as many parts, because with the dresser, like, I had to assemble each drawer, like the sides, the back, the piece that goes on the bottom drawer so it can slide, like all that had to be assembled. And this desk, significantly less parts. So I'm hoping it'll be more like putting the bed frame together. But you don't know. You don't know till you open that box. And so it's coming today too. So that was another reason why I kind of needed to be home today versus going to Alabama, because I got these packages coming. What was the other thing coming today too? I had something else. Oh, my metal detector. I ordered a cheap metal detector so I can find other pins. So, like I mentioned there with my neighbor, he knew where that one boundary marker was at in that corner over there. And I found the other one over here last year. So there's this property marker and this one, and then it comes up this way. It makes a triangle. As our suspended bait up here, something's after it. Is it going to go down? Got tugged on. He's still tugging on it. Oh, he's got it. We finally got a suspended bait hit. I think this is going to be comparable to the last couple we've reeled in, though. They're back there. They hit that back rod there again. They're chewing on them dragon baits, man. Chewing them things up. This one here is going to be a blue. He's going to be slightly bigger than the other ones. And I think this one has, y'all. This is another fish on the fly. Boy, ain't that something. That's 3 fish now on the fly. Interesting. Very interesting. There seemed to be maybe wanting a smaller bait today. He's got it in the mouth. It ain't like he hit the head bait and rolled into the hook accidentally. No, he ate the daggone fly. There goes the head bait too, which is fine. I was going to switch it out anyway. Goodness, that hook's in there good. I can't get them dang fly hooks out for nothing. There. Yeah, larger dink right there. Yeah, that is another one on the fly. How about that? You know the old saying, once is an accident, twice is a pattern. Well, that's 3 times. But the advantage of having them flies is if situations like this, maybe they are keyed in on a smaller bait profile. You've got options on each rig. You've got a big bait and a small bait on each rig. So we don't really necessarily have to switch our size of our baits around. We could on the dragging rig back there that don't have a fly. But those rigs are getting hit so much, I don't really see a need to mess with anything. I think they're just super aggressive today. These suspended baits ain't been doing no good lately, but it is my favorite way to catch a fish, and I feel like if we were to come across a flathead today, we're going to have a much better chance of getting him to eat the suspended bait than we are the dragging bait. Although the last flathead I've caught recently was on the dragging rig, so I think that was just kind of a freak luck thing, really, more than anything. Well, let's send this back down. I'm gonna go ahead and reel up, because it's probably, I don't know where we're at on the time, but it's time to switch that other bait out anyway. We got plenty of bait today. We're not gonna run out, and I'm not fishing tomorrow, so I'm pretty sure we've got enough for about 3 days of fishing, and I'm only going to be fishing today and Friday. And then beyond that, this bait would be too old, so we're going to use it. Yeah, this bait still looks good, but we'll put a fresh piece on. You know, I'm gonna tell you about my fancy metal detector here. And I ain't treasure hunting, folks, but I'm gonna feel like I've found a treasure when I find this daggone boundary marker, because I've been looking for it months. I'm about to find it today, potentially. Okay. All right. The osprey over here hollers at us. You know, the bald eagle has a high-pitched cackle, and it don't bother me. Boy, the ospreys, their sound, I find them annoying. So yeah, so the way my property is, I've got the boundary marker that the other neighbor had showed me where it's at. It's down here. And I found this one over here between me and my other neighbor girl last year. Those two lines, they come in a straight line up to a point, kind of at a triangle, and there's another marker. It's covered in, well, it's been covered in leaves and debris and stuff. I ain't been able to find it. So I got that metal detector coming, and I know approximately, I can walk it off from each direction. I know approximately where it's at. So I'm gonna use that metal detector and find it. I had a fella, shout out to Justin Smallwood. He's a viewer of my channel. He works for a survey company. And he had reached out to me via the comment box, and I'd give him my email and contact me. He sent me his phone number. He has offered to help me if I cannot find these boundary markers, but I got a cheap one on Amazon. And now that I know where that one is at from the other neighbor, like having two pins, finding the one in the middle should be super easy, especially now that this lady's come and cleared the land and got all that debris and stuff out of the way. Like, I should be able to find it when I get out there with the metal detector. But shout out to him for offering to help, and I may still hit him up if for some reason I can't find this thing. I may need him again anyway, because I'm contemplating buying a strip of land between me and my other. I've had a lot of communication with I've lived at this property for 18 years, and I've barely spoken to anybody in 18 years. And I feel like in the last week, I've talked to the whole damn neighborhood. I've talked to the girl in front of me who's moving. I went and looked at her house. Her house is trashed. Like, somebody, well, she sold it. She sold it to one of them real estate groups. you know, one of them things, y'all probably get these offers in the mail wherever you live all the time. They're real bad about Tennessee. Every time I open the mailbox, I got one. They're like, we'll buy your lot. We'll buy your house. And they'll offer you like a contract in the mail there. And it's 3 nickels and a pack of chewing gum for what your property's worth. But if you need cash now, they're willing to rip you off. Well, this girl, oh, front rod got hit. I told the story for my channel members of what's went on with this girl. I won't share her business on here in the public, but anyhow, she needs money now, and that house it's going to be a total makeover for whoever ends up with it. Like it needs everything. It's as our back rod over here is getting messed with. It's got some water damage. It needs electrical work. Windows are busted out. It needs all the floors are ripped up in there. That needs to be done. There's holes in the walls. None of the appliances work. Like it's trashed. Like yeah. But anyway, for a company, you know, one of these companies, we'll buy your property. They'll just cut you a check. Like, I guess that's why they offer pennies on the dollar, because they walk into dumps like they're about to walk into with her. But I've talked with her this past week. Of course, my neighbor in the far corner, talked with him. And then the girl beside us, so the girl in front of me, okay, oh, he pulled it. Let it go, boy, they're on these dragging rods the whole way up through here. And I've thrown out some bait for them, our scraps. You'd think they'd be on that and leave these baits alone. I thought that one had it at first. It got me excited. The fish had put the tingle in the dingle for a second there. But I told the girl that lives in front of me, she's friends with the girl on this side of me. She walks over 5 or 6 times a day. And I had told her when I talked to her, I was like, well, you know, bring it up in conversation maybe sometime if it pops up, but tell your friend over here that if she ever wanted to sell part of her land, I'd be interested in buying it, because I've got my property cleared off, mowed down, right? Looks good, I think. I think it does anyhow, I'm proud of it. Then there's a strip of land that's just nothing but overgrown brush, kudzu, blackberries, just thick mess that I have to fight off my fence all the time. There's that, and then it starts her yard on the other side of me. And so I told the girl there that lives in front of me, it's like, you know, because I'd never talked to the other girl before. She bought that house last year, and the fella that owned it before her, which is apparently her dad, I hated that man with passion. He's dead now, so I won't talk too bad about him. You ain't supposed to speak ill of the dead, which I never understood why you can't speak ill of the dead. If they were an asshole when they were living, why can't you just acknowledge they were an asshole after they're dead? Like, what changed when they die? Because they can't, I don't get it. Like, you are what you are. And so I thought he was an asshole when he was alive, and, you know, I obviously didn't attend the funeral. I didn't even know he had died. So, anyhow, there's this fish back again. So, anyhow, he never done anything to maintain that strip of land right there, and it's just every year I fight it. I spray and I cut back, but you can only do so much with the kudzu. And so I'd had my other neighbor girl talk to her, as this one gets hit now. Oh, they're toying with us. But I was like, just bring it up. You know, if she ever wanted to sell that strip of land, I'd be interested. Well, come to find out, she's very interested in it. So I get home the other night, and the neighbor in front of me brings this girl over, introduced me. And she's doing some remodeling work at that house. They're actually, her and her husband, and they got 3 kids, they're living all in the basement together of that house while they remodel the upstairs. And she's like, you know, we need some extra money. Go ahead and get the upper part of our house finished so we can kind of get back to living a normal life. And so I would definitely, we're not going to do anything with this land anyway. If you want to buy it, we would definitely be interested in selling to you. I'm like, well, great. What do you want for it? And, you know, she didn't know what it was really worth. And, of course, I don't either. I mean, how do you price something that only has value to 2 people? Because, really, this land, it's a strip of land. It's landlocked, so it ain't like you could subdivide the lot and sell it to a random person. You can't, because they couldn't get to it. They would either have to have I would either have to approve an easement to come up my driveway for them to access it, or she would have to do that to cut across her front yard to access it. So obviously neither one of us would do that. And then there are some TVA power lines that go up my property here. And so with the TVA power line right away, it goes over to that land. So you couldn't build anything there. And if TVA did even a half-assed job, we wouldn't have this kudzu and brush problem. They'd keep it, but they don't. They only spray once every 4 or 5 years, and they come and cut it about once every 8 to 10 years, and you can't half-ass kudzu. That might be fine for blackberries and normal shrubbery, but with kudzu, you got to stay on top of it month by month, or else it just takes over everything. You can't let it go years and years. So TVA does a half-assed job, but this land is useless otherwise. Like, it's valuable to me because I want to clear all that stuff off and get it to ground level where I can mow it and stay on top of it. And it's valuable to her because, well, it increases her property value by having more land. So she was going to look around and try to figure out a comp, you know, if you will, is what this land might be worth, and try to figure out, her and I both was going to try to figure out what it would take to subdivide her lot and add it to my property. And that was actually on my to-do list for Monday. I was going to have that woman come and clear my land, and then in the afternoon I was going to go down to the courthouse and figure out who it was that I needed to talk to and figure out the process for this. Well, my neighbor girl over there, buddy, she's all over it. She had already went down there, figured out who she needed to talk to, got the whole process, and she had been calling surveyors. Like, she wants the money, by God. She's a motivated seller. So she had already figured all this stuff out. And so come to find out, her property's obviously got to be surveyed because we've got to subdivide that strip of land from her lot. And they told her my property would also need a recent survey. And so my question to her was, well, what is recent? Because my property was surveyed in 2012. That's 12 years ago. Is that recent enough? If we know where the pins are, is it recent? So we still don't know that. But here's the issue, and here's why I don't think this deal is going to work out, regardless of price. And when she called me back to tell me all the information she'd found out, she kind of kicked around a price of $8,000, which she said $8,000 was what it was going to take for her to finish the inside of her house. She said she's flexible, but you know, that's the amount she would like to have. And so I said, well, before we set anything in stone on a price or start negotiating on that, let's just make sure we're not going to run into any other fees. Back here, this rod's getting hit again. They're just tearing these baits up. I hope we run into some better quality fish soon. I wonder if he ate. He's got it, actually. Somebody out there right now, one of you's out there in internet land, I want you to do this. Pull out your change purse You kids watching, you go in there and ask your granny if you can get in her pocketbook and get you a nickel out of there. If you're with your granny right now, I promise you, old people still use pocket change. They pay with cash at the stores, they get change back. You kids, ask her, ask your granny if you can gamble a nickel and bet me a nickel, because I'm gonna take a bet here that this fish is on the fly. I'm gonna bet you he ate the fly. If you're willing to take the risk of losing your granny's shiny new nickel. I promise you, your granny's got a pocketbook full of it. She's got a little change purse in there. My grandma used to have the smoke poke, she called it. It was a cigarette holder and a change purse, and he's on the fly. If you bet me a nickel, I expect to put that nickel in the mail, by gosh. Cost you $1 for the stamp to send me the nickel. I'm gonna have to buy some new stamps soon. I noticed when I cleaned out my old desk so I could make room for the new one today, I noticed I'm down to like 2 stamps. I'd bought them forever stamps. I bought a book of them years ago. I don't ever mail anything. So it takes me a long time to go through stamps, but whenever I get new ones, I'm gonna be paying double probably what I bought that book for. Let me have that thing back there, fish. There. Another really small dink, but another bite. And guess what he's on? The fly. Is that 4? 4 fish now on the fly? How far are we into this trip? A little over an hour and a half. I mean, we're getting numbers of fish today. We're getting the numbers. We need some quality. That's what we need. Let me cut this up. We'll throw it back out there. I mean, I don't care if these fish eat the cut bait, if they eat the fly. I give them options for a reason. Because I'm fine. I just want to reel them in. But by gosh, I want to reel in something bigger than those. And I've caught some big fish. I mean, regular viewers, you've seen some days where fish were preferring those flies, and I've caught some good ones. And I think my biggest fish of 2024, which was caught back in, I think it was February or March, I can't remember. It's been back late winter. It came on a fly. So, at least my biggest fish of the year to this point. I'm hoping to break it at some point here before the year's over. So, I mean, those fish will eat them flies, man, but I want something bigger today. I'm happy getting action. I wanted to come out here and catch fish, but I want some big ones, man. I want the type of fish that we were catching with Callie there last week. We got some fun sizers, and we got a 30-pounder. Like, we got some dinks too, but we were getting some a little bit better quality. We didn't fish down here though. I haven't fished this area in a long time. I've been hitting different stretches of the river lately. A couple places where I've got on some better fish. I've went back and hit again, but for the most part, I've just been kind of jumping around, just working these main channel ledges. This body of water, you take this body of water, I'm on Watts Bar Reservoir today. It's the second reservoir of the Tennessee River. This reservoir has 70 miles of the Tennessee River. From dam to dam is 70 miles, Tennessee River. Plus there's a couple other rivers that feed in. So, I mean, you know, you do the math. If we fish 3 or 4 hours today, we cover 1.5 miles, 2 miles, only on one side of the ledge. If you got 70 miles to work with, that's 140 miles technically, because you got 2 sides of the channel. it would take a while to fish at one end to the other. So I've just been kind of jumping around, hitting different launch sites and working the ledges closest to those launch sites. Kind of been what I've been doing lately. And we've been getting fish on all, like everywhere me and you've been fishing together, we've been catching fish. Like, we're not getting skunked. There's been fish on all these different sections of the ledges. We're just, some places are better quality than others that we've been. And so we trying today. We're just gonna see what's up and down through here. I ain't fished here in a long time, and so we'll see what we get into today. Let me flip this bail over here in a second. The fish that have been hitting pretty aggressively, I feel like, and the water's flat, calm, there's no wind, no noticeable current flow out here. They are generating a little bit at the dam, but we're so far away from the dam, we're not going to notice any current. So it's flat, calm, so we don't have to run these lines super far behind us. It's not really necessary. We just need them. We just want a little distance. We want that sinker kicking up some dirt there on the bottom, kicking up some mud, creating a visual mud trail along with the scent trail we're putting out as we move along. That's kind of what we're wanting to do today. But yeah, this land, between me and this girl, like, I want to know what it's going to cost, not just from her, but like the survey work. So her lot obviously has to be surveyed because we have to subdivide that lot. If my property needs a newer survey, it's going to make the price just unrealistic, because this suspended bait up here is getting messed with. Survey prices have gone up so much in the last, well, since COVID, when everybody started moving to Tennessee. The price is damn near quadrupled from what I paid in 2012 to now for survey work. So this strip of land, when you look at the cost of the land, the cost of the survey work, the county, when you go in front of the planning commission, it apparently only costs $100 for them to review the application or whatever. And I don't see any issues with the planning commission when taking part of her property and adjoining it to mine. I don't see any issue with them that we would run into, especially with me. I'm not going to develop it. There's nothing can be developed. It's just, I can't imagine them having any issue in denying that. But that, I've obviously, once I get the land, I'm going to have probably this lady that's done the other brush clearing, have her come back, clear all that down, money for grass seed and straw, and then once everything's done, pay some more money to have my fence moved over, right? So what might be a cheap piece of land is going to cost a significant amount of money when it's all said and done. And so when me and this girl talked the other night, you know, she obviously brought up, like, what is it that you're looking to buy? Like, how much are you wanting to go? And I said, I'm not wanting the land to, like, increase my land ownership per se. Like, I've got 4 acres total now between my house. When I bought my house, it was on like 1.1 acres, I think it is. And then the lot beside me and behind me come available. And so I snatched it up. And so that was another 2.9 acres. So I'm right at 4 acres total between the two. So me going from 4 acres to 4.5, who cares? Like, it's not going to do anything as far as my land value goes. It's not going to do anything as far as, like, this fish is going to do something though if he don't get off that line. I think we've got another one on. Oh, by gosh, we do. Kids, go back in there to your granny. Go right now. Hurry real fast before I get this fish reeled in. Ask her if you can tell her you done lost that other nickel she give you. See if you can get back in her pocketbook and get you another. I guarantee you she's got another nickel in there. My grandma, she had her, it was her smoke poke, she called it. It was a leather case, and she'd have a pack of cigarettes down in there. And on the other side, there was a zipper, and it had change in it, pocket change. Now my other grandma, she had an actual change purse, and it had like a metal clip up top. It didn't zip, it was a metal clip, and it would open up, you know. But I promise you, Granny in there, if she's over age 60, she's got a change purse. It's another fish on the fly. You done lost another nickel if you bet me. Your granny's gonna cut you off here before long. Now tell her you're gonna give her both them nickels back and get a dime out there. The dime's lighter weight, it won't cost you as much to ship it. Y'all better pay up too. I know some of you took that bet. I knew when I picked up on this fish, he was too small to be on the cut bait. Thankfully, left the cut bait on. And since we just sent it out, it's still perfect condition. That may be the smallest one of the day, and that's saying something. All right, back out it goes. I don't remember where I was at with the story, but yeah, you know, it's just, you add in all these extra fees and costs and stuff, and it's not like I want this land to, you know, to just want the land. Like, it doesn't do anything. What I want it for is because for the last 18 years, I have been dealing with this brush and this kudzu, and it's such a pain in the ass every year because it grows so fast. I just want to eradicate it. And I obviously need to own that land to be able to keep, I mean, sure, I could probably work a deal with this girl and have the woman I hire, whatever, come in, get it down to ground level. But then what am I doing? Am I paying out this money to improve her property? Sow her yard with grass and all that like that? I mean, if I'm gonna do that, I want to own the property. So, yeah, but I mean, so when me and her was talking the other night, we were just standing there in my yard talking, and we were talking about like what I want on her property there, and I said, well, she's got another neighbor in front of her, and they have situated their fence pretty much on the edge of that brush, right? Kind of like I've done. I'm on the edge on this side. Of course, I own right up to the brush. Then there's the brush, which they own part of, and then they've got their fence here. I said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go to your neighbor's fence line right there on the other side of that brush and just go straight back to the edge of your property. So that way you're basically, we're taking a rectangle, if you will. It'd be perfectly rectangle. Straight line here, straight line in the back, and the land in the middle. And she's like, yeah, that's perfect, because that's what she was kind of thinking too. Well, here's where we ran into a little bit of a snag. Oh, okay, that might be a better one. That might be a better one. Definitely better than the last fish anyway. Yeah, definitely better than the last fish. He ain't gonna, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna get your hopes up because he ain't gonna be the monster that we're looking for today. But definitely an upgrade for sure. We're getting bit, man. We are catching some fish today. The activity is here. It's just sorting through this mess to get the better quality. And we're getting ready to go, from looking at the graph here, the depth's gonna drop off to the low 70s. So hopefully maybe we'll run into some better quality fish at the deeper depths. We'll see. I don't think our quality will get any worse at the deeper depths. Come on. Oh, we got Y'all let me forget to flip that bail over on the other line back there. I can't rely on y'all for nothing. One simple thing, just remind me to flip the bail over. You couldn't even do that. Yeah, it's another, he's a dink. He's a larger dink though, at least. A little bit ball with that head bait. It is shredded. These fish, man, they are on these baits as soon as we're getting them down there. They're just destroying them. It's got to be them small fish. Situations like this, you know what I wish I had was some bigger live baits. Here's a tip for you. If you're in a situation where you've got small catfish, small blues, like we've been getting there on the flies, and they're down there chewing up your baits, just nipping at them and doing this, like that skipjack head, we're pretty much down to the gill plates on it. Like there's just, it's destroyed, it's ruined. When you get small fish like that, and this, I'll give you, here, fish, I'm gonna give you some chest cam time. That's all you're getting. You ain't big enough to get front camera time. Broke that fish's heart. He'd looked forward to being on that front camera screen, getting a picture with me his whole life. And now he's just gonna have to keep waiting. He said he'll find him a new YouTube hero, one that'll give him the camera time he feels like he deserves. But here's a tip for you. If you got small fish, they're chewing up your baits, they won't leave you alone. If you happen to have some live baits, or you can go catch you some live baits, larger live baits. I'm not talking like a little 4-inch bluegill or threadfin or small gizzard shad. If you can get something bigger, crappie, if it's legal where you live to use, a white bass, yellow bass, a drum, something bigger, a bait that's, say 8 inches plus, 10 inches or bigger. You put it down there, them smaller blues that's terrorizing you, they'll leave that bait alone, the big live bait. They won't mess with it. And so when you're fishing, big fish comes up on you, even if it's not interested in your cut bait that's been stripped down to bones and scales, gill plates, as in the case with that skipjack head, that big fish may not be interested in that chewed up bait, but he might be interested in the big live bait. That'll be in perfect condition because them small fish just ain't gonna, like this one here. Oh, he let it go. Let me just reel it in and see if he got the bait. But anyway, my point is you'll have at least one bait down there if you got a big live bait that'll be in perfect condition when that big fish comes along. And I don't know why those blues, they won't nip at the live bait. But even if it's a big piece, you can say, well, Justin, just increase the size of your cut bait. Put a whole skipjack on it. Sure, you could. You could do that, and they'll destroy it. They'll take a whole skipjack and reduce it to nothing in the blink of an eye, man. Like they can, you get 3 or 4 small blues, man, they can make quick work of even a large piece of bait. I'm gonna run that one there really short, close distance behind us. We'll let out a little bit more. Actually, I'm gonna let out a little bit more line. We're gonna we'll run this head bait here just a little bit closer behind us. Put out a little bit more distance on the other one, kind of run them at different lengths, but they really don't need to be super far behind us today with the water being so calm. Yeah, so, you know, me and her talked. We were going to go over to the neighbor in front of her's fence line, go straight back, nice rectangle area, easy peasy. And all of that brush is contained in that rectangular area we talked about, which means I can eradicate it all, get it under control. Well, she messages me back and says she wants to keep her shed. So she has a shed on this property. And I've went over there and walked around a little bit, best I can through the brush. And that shed is going to cause us problems. Because first off, imagine we're looking this way toward her house. So obviously we want the rectangle that we're trying to create going this way, straight line. Her shed sits at an angle. And so she wants to go to the back of her shed. And so here's another question for the surveyor. When she talks with them again, I told her to ask this, like with property boundaries, if you've got a structure, there's things called setback lines. You have to be so far off the boundary line. So I'm like, if we subdivide your lot and your shed is here, are we going to have to come over 5 feet, or it's either 5 feet or 15 feet. I can't remember how far it's got to be in my area. And bring that line in closer to me that way. Is that what we're going to have to do? You know, and as far as like her shed being directly on the boundary line, like personally, I don't care. It don't bother me at all. Like I'm not going to go to codes enforcement and cause a fuss about it or anything, right? Like I don't care. But we need to do things right if we're going to do it, because what if I die? Well, not what if, like when I die, let's say. Somebody else going to move into my place. They're going to buy my property. They may not want that shed right on the property line. So it may cause problems down the road. So it's better we do things right from the get-go. That way there's no problems at any point in the future. But here's the thing. The way that shed sits, especially with it being angled, we're going to go to that far corner of it here, the back corner. When you bring that line this way by that corner, instead of going down here to the other neighbor's fence line that way, boy, there's a whole bunch of that brush that's still not being dealt with. Like, and so what I don't want to do is buy this land from her, move my fence over, clear all that off, and then have the same problem that I have now just further over. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trading, I'm gonna have the same problem, I'm just trading locations. Like that's not a good solution. So I've either got to be able to get all of this done, or I want none of it. And now her shed is a problem. Now you could move the shed. I'm gonna lower our baits down, we're dropping off deeper here. These suspended rods were 68 feet, but we're about to, looks like, go down to 72 from looking at the map here. We could move her shed, certainly. I don't think there's any, from looking around it there, I don't think there's any electricity that goes to it. It just kind of sets on blocks. Like that could be moved. But again, to move it, going to require more money, which just adds to the cost of everything I'm doing. So, you know, and this property's long, but when you look at the distance, I went over there, I took my phone, because iPhone has that measurement thing where you open up the measurement app and you hit the plus button to make a mark, and then you walk till wherever the area is you're wanting to mark off a distance. You push the button again, it tells you how far you've went. So from the corner of her shed to my fence right now is 57 feet. We may potentially lose part of that from the setback lines, either 5 feet or 15 feet, whichever one it turns out to be. Now it's long, it's like 300 and I think it's 316 feet long. Or maybe I'm just thinking about like Austin 316 from wrestling. I don't know, but it's 300 something feet long. So when you do the calculations on it, it works out to like 0.4 acres. That's what it worked out to. And again, I don't care about the amount of land. Like the actual acreage means nothing to me. I want rid of that brush. And so when I'm looking at this, if I can't get all the brush and I'm only expanding my yard over basically 57 feet at the most and still potentially going to have the same problems that I have now, I'm like, I don't think it's really worth it, regardless of what the price ends up being. You know, she said 8,000. I'm not paying 8,000. I can't. It's not worth it. Not worth it to me. Because especially when I got to pay survey and all this other stuff, and like I'm not doing that. If she had a lot, if there was a lot in my area that was 0.4 acres and was buildable, it would go 25, 30,000 right now because everybody's moving here. There was a lot up the road from me. I think and it may be listed right now, actually. The house beside it was sold. I think the lot may still be available, but I think it was 0.3 acres and they were asking 30,000. Oh, nice takedown. Oh, he's taking line. He's taking line. Okay, folks, okay. Better fish. Better fish right here. We've had to sort through some smalls. I gotta stand up a second here. I guess I ain't been sitting in the kayak enough these past few days. I had a cramp in my hip. I'm getting old, folks. This is a better one right here. This is more of what we're after today right here. He was pulling some line, man. All right, let's see if I can sit back down now. Yes. So here, I want to show you this. I want to show you, but I can't really turn around right now. But my graph, we dropped off to a deeper hole here. It's 69 feet where we're at. And this rig here, it was dragging pretty close behind us. I didn't let a lot of line on this. 69 feet, according to the map, we're going to drop down to 72 feet. But we drop off in this hole, and what do you know? We get on a little better quality fish. Could be coincidence, but it's saying something. We drop off into the hole, and this time of year, you get into post-spawn, late summer here. I oftentimes do well, not only on these main channel ledges, but also the deeper holes. This one ate the chunk unless he got the fly. I'll be doggone, he's not that big. What a disappointment. That was a really nice takedown. He was pulling line, man, but this fish ain't very good. This one's, I mean, it's a smaller fun size, but not. Even after I picked up on him, I'm like, this is a good fish. And boy, I've been bamboozled. I've been, this fish he's pulled one on me. This fish here, he's bamboozled me like those of you that was dumb enough to take my bet. You bamboozled your granny into giving you them nickels out of her change purse. She opened up her smoke poke for you and gave you money for a losing bet. Come here, fish, open up. Yeah, I mean, it's a, let me turn you into the light here, fish. I mean, it's a fun sizer, length, kind of skinny still. But for the takedown, for how it felt when I picked it up, like, just, the size didn't match the takedown. It didn't measure up to what I thought it was going to be. Dadgummit. I wish he'd come off. If he'd come off, I could have been like, man, that was our big fish, y'all. That was our big fish of the day. We come on, but he didn't. And we got to look at him and say, now I can't even lie to myself now. Well, nevertheless, it is an upgrade in quality over what we've been getting down through here. Huge upgrade over some of them small ones that we got, and I'm gonna show you this hole here in a second. Here, let me get this line going out, and I'll show you before I put that other bait up. Yeah, so look right here on the map best you can. I know the glare's getting bad. Where we? Let me see. Okay, yeah, screen's still good there with y'all. So we got the land that drops off here, and you see this hole. It drops down, and when we get out of this hole, it's going to come back up like 69 feet or so as we make our way. So just a smaller depression down in here, but it is a noticeable change, and that's where that fish was. That's where he was hanging out at. He was at the back part of it there, and there may be some more. So we make our way up through here potentially. Or it could have been coincidence too. Maybe he was just working up and down this ledge. Yeah, it don't really matter. We got him either way. I'll let out just a little bit more line on that. But yeah, property values in my area have skyrocketed. And so that lot that either is for sale or was for sale up the road from me, 0.3 acres, they wanted like $30,000 for it. So our front rod over here is getting messed with. But it's buildable. It's cleared. It's got road frontage. Like a person buys that lot, all they got to do is get their building permits, get their septic, and build a house, put the driveway in, they're good. This lot of land me and this girl, my neighbor, are talking about is, first off, it's landlocked, so you can't build anything there. It needs work. I mean, you're gonna have to put money into it to have it all cleared off. She's got some trash and debris piled up, probably from her daddy back in the day. It looks like it's been there a while, like construction materials and stuff. Gotta have something done with that. Hauled off to the dump. I mean, again, that's another fee. And so it's going to require a lot of work. So it's definitely, you can't find a comp available in the open market right now, because any deals like me and her are trying to work are done between two individuals. You can't subdivide your lot like me and her are talking about doing and sell it in the open market. You just can't. It would never get approved. So you can't sell land without having access to the land. There's got to be a way in and out for people. And it's unbuildable because of the power line. So that in itself decreases the value greatly, right? But I mean, it does have value. It is still land. Like they're not making any more of it. Like it's the land we got on this earth is the land we got. And having that land obviously increases her property value, because it's still, I think she's got 2.5 acres. So if this is 0.4 acres, what it works out to be, she'd go from 2.5 to 2.1. I don't know how much that lowers the value of the property, but it does lower it some. So there's value in that. But for me, as the person shelling out the cash, it's like, and that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, is like, how much am I willing to spend on this project? If I could get all of the brush gone, then it's worth more to me. But to just expand my yard over 50 feet and have the same problems I got now, well, that's not worth anything to me. So I don't know if that's, this has been a long-winded story on this part. I'm just saying, I don't know if this is going to work out or not. But you may hear some more about this in upcoming videos as me and her try to work out something and we hear back from surveyors and whatnot. You can't. And again, this Justin Smallwood guy is a viewer of my channel, and he's commenting and stuff. Like, he works for a survey company, and he's obviously a fan of my channel, so he's commented on here about survey work. But if you call a surveyor up in my area right now, you're lucky if they even call you back, because they are all so booked up with work that they're weeks out from getting anything done. And so, and it's pretty much, they just name their price because there's so much work available for them. So, I mean, you can't even get a call back. So I don't know if it's going to work out or not. But if we can do something, I would prefer to do it now, or certainly within the next 2 or 3 months here, because what I want to be able to do is get this cleared off now. That way, first off, the kudzu, we're at the end of the growing season for kudzu. So now's the time to take it out. You can either take it out now or you can take it out in the winter once it's dead. But once you get into the winter, normally East Tennessee, most years we have like a wet winter. So it'd be better to do it now while everything's dry. You know, before, because it may get to a point between the rain and stuff and the winter, like we may hit a point where it's too wet to work and stuff, and it's better too to sow your grass in the fall than it is the spring. So if we're going to clear it off and get it sowed with grass and everything, the sooner the better we get started on this. And here's the thing, if we come to a deal and everything's in writing and all we're waiting on is the survey crew, well, essentially what I could do, as long as everything's in writing, we got a contract and everything, I could go ahead and have the land cleared. Get to work on that now. And then all we would basically be needing for me to, you know, to hand her the money, hand her the check, finish out the contract would just be the survey work at that point. We could have everything else done. But this girl seems okay. She seemed very nice. It was my first time ever talking to her. My interaction with her certainly went better than my interaction with her dad did years ago when I had a couple, I may have told these stories. Again, you ain't supposed to speak ill of the dad, but I didn't really like this guy. I had 2 interactions with him that went south. First off, his other kid, which I assume is this girl's brother, used to think he was Tiger Woods. And he'd sit over there in his yard and hit golf balls onto my property. And he nailed my house a few times. He nailed my shed. We can't prove it, but we're pretty sure he hit my girlfriend at the time, her car, because she had a dent in her door and there was a golf ball a few feet away, like he had hit and bounced off. But you can't prove anything, obviously. We didn't hear it happen. But he would sit over there in his yard and hit golf balls, and it would go over the trees, all that brush and everything, and land in my yard. And I rounded up a bunch of them balls, and I went over there and knocked on their door. And I told that kid's daddy, or this girl's daddy, I'm like, look, me and your kid's gonna have a problem here if he keeps hitting these golf balls at my house. And you know, his dad at the time was like, oh, okay, I'll take care of it. You know, just kind of blowing me off, which pissed me off even more. Well, a little time goes by, and it's Christmas. And I forget what year this was, but it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I don't remember, but anyway, we had festivities, and I was outside at my fire pit. I was burning like the boxes and wrapping paper and stuff like that. I'd taken that stuff out to burn it. And all of a sudden I hear, whoosh, this golf ball goes right by my head like I heard the whiz off of it, like whoosh, and lands over beside me. Well, guess what? I guess Tiger Woods, Santa Claus must have brought him a new golf club. He's over there teeing off again. And boy, I was pissed. And I'm like, man, it's Christmas, and I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass. So I end up, and I was back and forth on this, and the girlfriend, because I knew if I went over there, it was gonna be a confrontation, and it's Christmas. They've probably got family over there. But I knew if that guy blew me off again, or God forbid he smarted off to me, things was gonna go south. So the girlfriend was like, don't do it. Don't go over there. Don't you dare. So I end up, she called, she called and had an officer go over there. Because, you know, she's still pissed because her car got hit. Again, we can't prove it. There ain't a damn thing could be done about it at the time because we didn't hear the ball hit or anything. But she had a big dent in her door, and there was a golf ball a few feet away. So 2 + 2 = Jello. Of course, Tiger Woods hit her damn car. But you can't do nothing about it. You know, you can't prove anything. So nothing could be done. But nevertheless, I'm pissed. I hate these people. She's pissed. She hates these people because our property's getting damaged because this disrespectful little shit, excuse my language, is over there. And, you know, I've already talked to Daddy once. He said he was going to handle it. He didn't. So I know if I go back over there with my temper, and God forbid he smart off to me, things are going to go south. So the girlfriend, she calls, has an officer go over there. He come over. He was a nice guy. And again, this is Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And he's out there having to deal with this crap. But I don't know what he said to those people, but there was never another golf ball hit at my property again. So that fixed the situation. But after that, there was clearly some tension between me and him, because from that point on, I always hated his guts. And I think because a girlfriend called the law, I think naturally he's going to hate my guts. And so there was a tension there after that, right? So fast forward, this is probably a year or so later, TVA had come through. Again, I got them power lines that go through, right? And so that brush area over all the trees and whatnot, they don't cut it back often, but once every decade or so. They come every few years and spray. And then every 8 or 10 years or so, they'll come in with their heavy machinery and cut all that stuff down. So they had come in and cut. And some of the bigger trees, they had like sawed up into logs, if you will. And my dad, one of my dad's friends had a wood burning stove. He's passed away now, but this has been a long time ago. But my dad's friend had this wood burning stove. He was always looking for wood and whatnot. If anybody needed a tree, if they had a tree fall and it cut down, he would go over there and saw up their tree, and he would keep the wood, use it for the winter, right? And so TVA had come, and they had cut all this stuff down, and it was in the spring they had come and cut all these trees down, and some of the bigger stuff they had cut up into what looked like burnable size logs, if you will. And they had been sitting there for months, at the edge of my property and this guy's property. Been sitting there. He hadn't done anything with them. I wasn't going to do anything with them, obviously. And so I guess my dad had been over at my house or something and seen them. And so he had told his friend, and you know, his friend, he hit it, didn't hook up. His friend had reached out to me and said, would you mind if I come get that wood? I'm like, no, go get it, because it's just going to sit there and rot. You know, you might as well make some use out of it. And so he's over there one day, and I was working night shift at the time. I was still working here at home in Tennessee. This was before I started travel nursing. So this would have had to have been 2009 or 10 probably, maybe 11. No, I started travel nursing 2011. Okay, so this would have probably been somewhere between 2009 and 2011 that this happened. It's been a long damn time ago, but I still hate this guy because of all this. So anyway, my dad's friend, and he's an older man at the time. He's dead now, but he was older at the time. He's over there loading up. He's got his truck parked on my property, and he's loading up this wood. And I'm in the house asleep because I'm working night shift during the day. And I hear knocking at my door. It wakes me up. And I go out there, and it's my dad's friend. He said, Justin, I need you to come out here. I got to go. This guy, he's saying I'm on his property and I'm stealing his wood and you know, I think he might do something to me. You know, my dad's friend, I mean, he's a smaller guy, he's an older guy. He was visibly shaken. He was like, you know, scared for like this guy was going to cause bodily harm, like he was going to beat him up or something. You know, apparently he's over threatening him and whatnot. And I'm like, you got to be. So I go over there, and you know, this guy, he's like, this is on my property, this is my wood, my wife's gonna do something with this wood here, she's got a project, and your friend's stealing it, and I'm like, you son of a bitch, like this wood is sat here rotting for months, you know, and so at that point in time, we didn't know for sure, I didn't know for sure, where the property boundary line was. And so that's what prompted me, okay, here's what I know then, here's what I know, that would have been, I was working, maybe I had started travel, because my first few travel nursing jobs, I was night shift. Maybe I was at home and was asleep, because my survey, it was done in 2012, so this must have been 2012 this happened, because right after that, I was like, you know what, screw this guy. I'm gonna have the survey done, and we're gonna find out where this boundary line is, and I'm gonna put the fence line down through there. So that's why I put the fence line up. Plus Roscoe the dog, he kept going on. So it would have been after 2012 because I got Roscoe in January 2012. And I think my survey was done. Yeah, I looked up, it was at the end of November there. So okay, so it was 2012 this happened. So yeah, and so I called and had that survey done. That's why I put that fence line in to try to keep Roscoe, because Roscoe kept wanting to go over there. And I'm like, dog, you can't make friends with people we don't like. But yeah, that's what prompted all that, because that guy was out there being a prick to my dad's elderly friend over that damn wood. And you know what that wood done? It sat there and rotted. There's still, I noticed when I went over there on the other side of the fence, you know, walking off to the shed and whatnot to kind of get the measurements between me and this girl, some of that wood that his wife was allegedly going to use for whatever project he didn't want my dad's friend to have, it's still there. There's still some of it there. It's rotted, but it's still there. He never done a damn thing. He just come over there and was being a prick because of the whole golf ball incident. And again, it ain't my fault he can't control his damn kid. You know, have a little respect for your neighbors. You don't hit golf balls at people's houses. So, yeah. So anyway, fast forward. I never knew this girl. You know, the only interaction I had was with that guy and Tiger Woods. The wife, which apparently they got divorced. Him and the daughter, which now lives beside me, like, I had never had any interaction with them at all. But I guess, apparently the parents split, and then she ended up buying the house, so now she's my neighbor. And so, she's cool though. Like, I don't have any issue with her. I never had any issue with her back in the day. And my only interaction with her now is this rod's getting hit on her head bait. This one don't have the fly, so it's got to be on the head. It don't feel too terribly big though. I think it's going to be bigger than some of the smaller dinks that we've had, but I don't think it's going to be as big as that couple fun sizers we got. We just can't find top-notch quality we're looking for today. I want that top shelf where your granny hides the cookies kind of quality of fish, and we ain't getting it. Not to this point yet. I'm probably gonna fish another hour or so. It's already hot as blazes. I can feel the side of my face and neck burning from the sun, but I'm gonna fish another hour or so probably. We'll see what we get into during that time. Go ahead, I know you ain't done. He's gonna do his death roll. There he goes, I knew it. Get it out your system. He still ain't done. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I'll tell you what, fish. Watch this. You wanted it, you got it, buddy. It's yours. There he goes. Got him a full belly. That thing was so chewed up. We just can't keep a bait in good condition for very long at all down there, and it's wrecked. That's probably part of our malfunction. Truth be told today is that if we're coming over any big fish, our baits may be so poor condition when they go by that they're just not tempted. That could very well be part of our problem. This little bit bigger head here, it'll take them an extra 30 seconds to shred this head. I don't know if I mentioned there or not, but skipjack is the only bait I have with me today. Surprisingly, didn't catch any white bass yesterday. It was all skipjack, and even if I had caught white bass, I wouldn't have kept them because you can't use them in Alabama, and I was still thinking about going to Alabama at the time, so certainly wouldn't want to have any in the cooler. So anyway, skipjack's all we got for bait. But yeah, just to finish up with that story, you know, me and the girl who was apparently the daughter of this guy I hate, she seems cool. Like, she's been, you know, my two interactions with her have been very positive. She seems like a normal human being, and she's trying to fix up the place, obviously, by getting the place remodeled. Her kids were over there with her when my other neighbor walked her over. They seemed okay, so, you know, they seem okay there. And hell, her dad may have been a good guy. You know how it is. When you have a bad interaction with somebody, it shapes your perception of them. They can be the best human being in the world, but you catch them on a bad day, and your first impression is powerful. So he may have been a great guy, but my two interactions with him were subpar, to say the least. So that shaped how I think of him. And yeah. So anyhow, he's dead now. Apparently, I didn't know he had died. But the girl, you know, his daughter had told me whatnot. I think maybe the girl in front of me too, maybe last year, had said that guy and the wife had gotten divorced, and then her friend, which is the daughter, had bought the place. And then when I talked to the girl the other night, she had said that he had died. Why is it, though, maybe some of y'all know this, because I sure as hell don't. Why is it frowned upon to speak ill of the dead? Why is that? Like, I don't get it. If you didn't like the person, you see this all the time across the board. Two people hate each other, they got a rivalry, whatever. Then somebody dies and they start singing their praises all of a sudden. Don't come at me with that fake ass nonsense. Like, if you hated that person when they were alive, it shouldn't change because they were dead. Like you should still, like maybe you let your anger go a little bit, but you just shouldn't flip-flop and start telling everybody what a great person they are. No, it's just, you know, I mean, the people that hate me right now, when I die, they better still hate me. Don't, and I don't know if it's maybe something to do with like haunting. Like maybe people are afraid that if you talk bad about somebody's dead, they're going to come haunt you. Hell no. Listen, if you hate my guts, and there's a lot of people out there that hate me, some of which I know hate me. If you're one of them people that hates my guts and I die and I have the opportunity to come back and haunt somebody, if you are somebody that hated me and then you go on social media and you're telling everybody how great I am after I'm dead, I'm going to haunt your ass for being a liar. Tell the damn truth. If you hate my guts, then own it. Just hate my guts, whether I'm alive or I'm dead. So, yeah, I don't understand the whole not speaking ill of the dead. An asshole is an asshole, live or dead. They may not be an asshole to everybody. May not be an asshole all the time. Like I said, he may have been a great guy. He may have been a great human being. But my interaction with him was very negative. And so that shaped my thoughts on him. I'm sure he felt the same way about me. I'm sure he did. So, you know, it is what it is. But I don't know if this land situation, I hope it works out for the best, whether I end up getting it or not. Even if I don't, I hope she eventually clears it off. She tried last year. They had a bobcat come in, and somebody's over in them woods talking. I don't see them, but there's somebody over there. They over there eavesdropping on us. But they had that bobcat come in last winter, and I told that story. I'm like, this girl got ripped off because he didn't accomplish anything, and he made the mess where he spread the kudzu out farther onto their land. He kept bringing the debris from what little he did clear out into their actual yard. And so then they couldn't mow around that this year because it didn't get burned in the winter. It was too wet. And so the kudzu, the seeds or spores or whatever, was in that pile of stuff. And so it spread this way and it spread out of that pile. And so they ended up losing part of their yard over all this. Not to mention the fact they didn't get anything done with the land clearing. And my neighbor over in the corner of us that I met the other day that showed me the property boundary, he said when that bobcat guy was there, he said it took out his internet because he had like a fiber optic line under the ground there. He said it took out his internet. He cut the damn line. So that guy just made a mess is what he did. But the fact that they were, you know, trying to get all that cleaned up tells me that they were hoping to get the place looking nice. And I'm sure they will over time with the remodeling and everything. But listen, I know how it is with remodeling. My house, I got my house in 2006. It was a foreclosure. And it was trashed. Like everything in my house had to be gutted. The only thing original in my house are the kitchen counters and the bathtubs. Everything else, brand new. Because it was destroyed. The people that had the house before me, this fish is tugging back here. I bet you another nickel. We got one on the fly. They'll get you Granny's smoke poke again. Leave them cigarettes alone, kids. They're bad for you. You don't need no cigarettes. You don't need to be smoking, but if your granny's got any change in that smoke poke, bust you out another nickel. I'm gonna take another bet with you here. We're gonna make another wager. I think this one's on the fly. We're gonna switch this bait out regardless. I'm sure as many times as it's been hit, it's probably looks as bad as that last head bait did. Well, all right, you got one of your nickels back. This one's on the cut bait hook. Somehow or another, this small fish got that. He must have just got that hook just right. There he is. They got the fly in the back too, tiny old catfish. Look at this bass boat. You want to talk about inconsiderate? Look at this. And then they got the nerve to wave. Cut between us and the bank. Half a mile wide on the river here, and they cut right down through here. I don't understand people, man. I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. There ain't no courtesy left in this world. Let's get us another piece of bait and cut up. I'm gonna get fired up, y'all. They're talking about these bass fishermen, talking about that neighbor I had I didn't like. I hope, that girl in front of me is moving. I hope I get a better neighbor, a better class of people, I guess, than some of the neighbors I've had in the past. I don't know if it'll work out that way or not. You never know what you're going to get. I hate that the girl in front of me is moving. I was hoping she was going to fix up the place and stay there, because I like her. Like, she's quiet. She keeps to herself. Like, I've never had any issues with her. So, with her moving, God knows what I'm going to get in her place. Start letting out some line on this one. I think people are camping over there on that island. I think that's what's going on. There's a boat over there I couldn't see earlier. Yeah, I think people are camping over there. That's what I was hearing. But yeah, my house was a foreclosure, and everything on it was destroyed. I mean, everything. And it needed to be gutted and start over. And thankfully, my parents, I can't fix anything. I'm useless when it comes to tools and whatnot. But my parents are real handy. And they knew some people too that was able to help out. So I was able to get a lot of that work done on the cheap. But, if you're having to pay people, especially in modern day times, and get somebody that's worth a damn, boy, remodeling expenses add up quick. In addition to just the supplies you need. So with this girl remodeling the whole upstairs of their house, like, I get it. It's an undertaking to do such a thing. And again, they got 5 of them. It's her husband, and 3 kids all in that basement. So, one of them's a teenager, so their teenage daughter obviously wants some privacy. I'm sure the parents clearly want some privacy from the kids. So they're ready to get that remodeling done. And if I get this land, I want it to be done right. And I need to get enough of it to be able to clear it off and do it right. So we'll see if it works out. Here's something else to think about. I've thought about this before, but it just triggered in my mind when we were talking about my neighbor and her husband living in the basement with their kids right now while they remodeled the upstairs. Back in the old days, our ancestors, at least you hear in the South anyway, and you can go up the Great Smoky Mountains, and there'll be some cabins that are still standing up there, kind of been restored, historic places, whatnot. You go up there, and they're basically just like one-room cabins, right? Just open floor cabins. And in the old days, our ancestors had a bunch of kids. Like in those days, you had to have kids to work a farm, survive. Everybody had a job back in those days. here's my question. This part of the video is about to take a turn. Kids, it's time to go to bed. Time to turn this video off. This is adult conversation time. How were those babies being made back in the day? If you got a one-room shack and you're sharing it with your however many kids, between 5 and 10 kids, most of these families had, where are they having their relations at with that many kids in there all sharing the same room? How's that going down? I mean, is there something perverse happening and it's just happening in front of them? Is it a Little House on the Prairie style where those kids all go to the next one-room schoolhouse, learn their reading and arithmetic, and then it goes on? Do you have to take the missus out behind the barn? Like, how does it happen? It's clearly happening quite frequently for them to be making so many children. But where is it going on at? If you have a one-room house and 10 people sharing the room, as this one back here gets pecked. Okay, I think he hooked up on that head. Well, this has got to be a little bit better quality fish to get the head, but it's still going to be smaller than what I hoped for today. We just cannot find the good quality yet. I hope we stumble into something big here soon. We're due, man. We're owed one today. The universe owes us one. I feel like we're due. Don't go be getting any more nickels, kids. So this, first off, you're supposed to have done clicked off this video before we had adult talk. But this rig here ain't got no fly on it, so I ain't betting you. We ain't betting on this one. I think it's probably going to be either a larger dink or smaller fun size potentially. Should be getting close here now to get a look at it. Yeah, a larger dink. It's another one. Boy, he's got that head wedged sideways in his mouth. This is another one that may not actually be hooked. Let's see. Yeah, maybe he is. Let's bring you in like this, fish. Let's see what you've done here, fishy. Look at that. Boy, you choked to death on that thing, fish. How do you... If they can get it in their mouth, buddy, it's going in. Yeah, we'll switch it out. You could say they've got the gill plates and chewed up all that meat right there. We'll just switch it out. Let's watch this. Here you go. You're welcome. Boy, he ain't having... Yeah, look at this. Get out of here. Get out of here, fish. I gave that fish a free meal, and he's in here acting a fool. No good deed goes unpunished. No good deed goes unpunished, folks. But another bite, nonetheless. Let's cut another head. Like I said, I got a bunch of skipjacks, so we don't have to be very conservative at all. With me having 3 days worth of bait and only going to be using it over the course of 2 days now, we're going to just keep everything fresh. Best we can anyway, with these dinks chewing us up. There are people hollering over there in them woods. I would be glad when we get by these people, because I can't tell if they're hollering at me or hollering at each other. I knew I heard voices, and I saw that Finally saw that boat. I'm looking into the sun when I look that way, so it's hard for me to see with the glare, but I guess they're over camping on that island. A lot of people do that out here on these islands along the Tennessee River. You're allowed to camp. TVA allows you to camp out there and stuff. No permits or anything like that needed. So a lot of people clear off little areas on them and set up campsites and stuff. Yeah, I still don't see them, but they're over there somewhere, I reckon. I keep hearing them, but you don't see them. Did y'all get splashed from? Okay, no, y'all still good. I thought that fish might have got you while he was flopping around acting crazy and stuff. What the hell was we talking about? Oh yeah, people getting it on in the old days. Like, how did they do it? How did they, he hit my graph and everything. How did they keep making all these babies with the other children right there in the same room as them? I've got questions, and I don't know that we'll ever get them really answered because people in those days didn't talk about things like that. So I don't know that we'll ever find out, but that's just something I've thought about before. And we got on the subject of this woman and her husband and kids all in the same basement there and whatnot. No privacy right now, and so, yeah. Something to ponder on, though. Maybe y'all figure out a better solution than I have. Best I could figure, there must be some shenanigans going on behind the barn or something, behind the woodshed, because I can't imagine it was taking place in the one-room shack with all the kids. Here's something else I'll go on about, though, for a little while, because I found this interesting. I mentioned, it's been a few weeks ago, because I've been working on this book for a few weeks. I just read a little bit, a few pages here and there, and it's taken me a while to get through it. But I've been reading a book called Cabbages and Caissons. And the book, it's a Civil War era diary with some historical stuff mixed in. So what the author done is they took a diary from, this other back rod over here is getting messed with. Tell them fish to leave it alone, folks. They took a diary that was found. It was a girl who lived not very far from where I grew up. And it was during the Civil War. And she did a diary of what basically her life was like during that time. And so it's kind of a unique perspective. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there on the Civil War, which I find fascinating, honestly. The Civil War is such a unique time period in our, at least American history anyway. I'm fascinated by it. But when you read anything on the Civil War or watch any documentaries or shows or whatnot, what you usually end up with is information about the war itself or the individual battles or what life was like as a soldier in the war. What you don't get is what was life like for the casual, everyday citizen who was living their life with this war going on around them. You don't get any insight into that. And so this book, and again, it's called Cabbages and Caissons, and it was the diary entries of a girl who, she was living about, I mean, as the crow flies, maybe less than 5 miles from where I grew up. And so very close proximity to where, where she's talking about some of the places on the Tennessee River, like a lot of her diary entries will be like, we had a lot of rain today. The water was up too high to cross. Like, the areas they were crossing on the river is places I fish. Like, that's, so, I mean, it's fascinating from that perspective to think, like, wow, you know, less than 200 years ago, Civil War was happening, and this girl's living her life just like I'm trying to live mine now, just, you know, trying to live and thrive and survive, and she's out here on the same, you know, it's just weird to think about stuff like that sometimes. We get so caught up, I do anyway, in our own everyday lives that you forget, like life's been going on a long time before we got here, and it's going to go on a long time after we're gone. Like, it's just, we are in the grand scheme of the universe, we're just the blink of an eye, our existence here. And so anyway, I'm reading this book, and a lot of the passages in this book, so how it goes is like, she would write the date and what happened in her life, in her family's life that day. And then if there was anything significant about that date and time, the author of the book would put in some historical facts about the war. Like, if this girl talks about soldiers passing through her area on the way to such and such place, then the next passage from the author would be like, 3 days later, the battle of whatever took place, yada, yada, yada. So it kind of gives some historical context to the diary entries that this girl's written. It's very fascinating, but most of her diary entries, let's be real, they're pretty boring. I mean, life back then was pretty simple. Her diary entries would be like, you know, Sister Rachel was sick today. It's been bitterly cold. We got some snow today. You know, weather stuff. I mean, like, kind of boring. And then you'll have some kind of, as it goes on, she kind of starts kind of elaborating more on her thoughts, like about the war. And this girl was pro-union, very pro-union. And so, you know, it gives you content, it kind of gives you insight to her mindset and her feelings. Her brother went off to fight for the Union, and what she was thinking and feeling, because, you know, back in those days, let's face it, no cell phones, no internet. Like, the only word you got was courier, letter, handwritten letter, and God knows when or if it would show up. So when your brother, uncle, father, whoever went off to war, you didn't see or hear from them again until they got back. Or maybe you knew what branch of the military they were in. You might hear word of such and such was at so-and-so battle, whatever. But they really had no, they were just in the dark. It's crazy to think about that now with all the technology we have. Like, we all carrying around a cell phone in our pocket. But anyway, some of the takeaways, and I'm about halfway through this book so far. Again, I've just read a few pages here and there, and it's on the couch, so I just sit there and read a little bit at a time, and it's fascinating, but it's not like so riveting you can't put the book down. You know, because again, a lot of this is just diary entries of a teenage girl during this time. So a lot of it's just stuff that's just, but here's some of the takeaways I've gotten. First off, we are very fortunate in today's time that children don't die very often. And they do. I mean, when I say they don't die often, they do. But not with the frequency that they did in those days. Back in those days, if a family had 5 kids, probably 2 or 3 of those kids was going to die young, real as babies or small children. Like, people died, and a lot of her diary entries would be, so-and-so took ill, and then the next diary entry would be, so-and-so died. You know, and a lot of it was children and babies. And, you know, a passage I read the other night there was talking about a family, and they had just lost their baby daughter, and their son had died last year. And it's like, you know, we're so fortunate today And when I say we're fortunate, I mean, obviously, statistically speaking, as many thousands of views as my videos get, one of you all out there has undoubtedly probably lost a child. So I don't want to sound insensitive or heartless when I say this, because you're viewing things from a different perspective than I am, obviously, with having gone through what you've went through. But just statistically speaking, children today, nowadays, if a baby dies, it's like, we're all like, oh my gosh, it's a shock. But back in those days, it was just kind of expected. Like, if you've got 5 or 6 kids, you're going to lose half of them oftentimes. And so it's reading her passages, death was just kind of, I don't want to say it's a way of life, because I mean, it's still a way of life now for us. I mean, we're all going to die, right? But I think back then it was just kind of understood that, like, it's just, people die young, people get sick, you know, you go downhill quick, you get an injury, you're just maimed for life, or you get infection and you die. Like, that was just how it was back then. And they just kind of understood it. And so you see there's so much death in her book, not even war related, not even that, just from citizens in her town. And this area that she lived in, well, I think it was called the Hackberry area, which doesn't exist now, and the author didn't even know about it, but that's what they called that area. And I know where it's at. I mean, hell, I grew up not far from there, but it was called a different name back then. And, but I mean, death was just a way of life. And everybody back in those days, I guess, kind of took care of each other, because this girl would talk about so-and-so come over for dinner. And people were always passing through, or they were going somewhere and having dinner, or picking apples, or whatever, you know, like the community was so much more, and I guess there was so much more community involvement back then, probably just for survival. I mean, let's be honest, it was a survival situation to everybody work together in those days. But that was fascinating. Just the number of people that this girl, I mean, when I think about, and I guess I've lived a sheltered life, maybe more so than others, but when I was a kid growing up, when I think about the people who died as a kid, I mean, when I was a kid, not other kids, but like when I was growing up, it's grandparents, my aunt, my uncle, both of which were significantly older than my dad and my other aunt. But I mean, it was older people who were sick for a while and they died. That's what I dealt with as a kid. But this girl, Lizzie here, in, you know, her diary entries, like, you know, she's a kid growing up and everybody around her's dying, of all ages. Not just old people, but people of all ages dying. They get sick, they die. They get hurt, they get infection, they die. So-and-so down the road from you, they have a newborn baby. A few days later, it's dead. Like, that was just the way of life back then. It was just part of it. It was just, you know, and again, nowadays, if a child gets sick or dies unexpectedly, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't believe that happened. But that's just where we're at in modern day times, modern medicine. We're very fortunate in that, compared to where we were as a country less than 200 years ago. It's amazing how far we've come. So that was one of my big takeaways from the book so far. Here's another fascinating insight. And there's an old saying, you all have heard this a million times, I've heard it, and it's the saying of, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And this is this head bait back here. The other bait behind us has been hit numerous times. I saw it getting hit a little while ago. Look at this thing. He's just sitting there chewing that head. I mean, they're just chewing it up. We just put that head out a few minutes ago. I'm gonna reel this one in, see what it looks like, and I'm gonna tell you how we're doomed as a society. This bait might be foul hooked, actually. It feels funny. I wonder if it ain't foul hooked. It's probably a good thing we're checking this. Yeah, them fish, they've knocked my fly up around the sinker. The bait's all chewed up. Well, they've done a number on us. These dinks are giving us a hard time today. Let me cut another bait, and I'm going to tell you how we're going downhill as a society. And it's happened to us before, and it's going to happen again. So, one of the things this girl talks about in her book, and the author, again, provided some insight to some of these things, but during the war, this girl and the other citizens in these towns, they couldn't get any supplies. Things in those days, as far as manufacturing goes, was mostly done in the north. The south had agriculture, of course, farming, but most of the manufacturing stuff, the factories, the materials and whatnot, it would come from the northern states, more industrial states. So during the war, north versus south, the south obviously cut off from a lot of the supplies. So as the war raged on, it wasn't just the soldiers being affected, it was the people, normal citizens in the South, that was being affected too by not being able to get supplies, just basic stuff. Like this girl talks about, they couldn't get any clothes, so they were having to make their own clothes and repair clothes and stuff, and so they couldn't get thread. One of the passages, like she was talking about how she couldn't get any sewing thread. And when they could get it, how the prices had gone up on everything because the demand was so high. They were paying so much more. And so it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, here we go. We went through this as a country less than 200 years ago, where people in the South obviously was cut off from supplies. You could make an argument that's part of the reason the war was lost, that and the reason that the South just decided to try to advance north. It just held strong. And the South, if those people had held south, who knows? The war, they might have either won the war or they might have, just caused the war to drag on so long that there might have been some other resolution to it. But it was the fact they were cut off from supplies and the fact that General Lee tried to advance, that's what ultimately took down the South in the end. And so who knows what happens if things are different, but nevertheless. And then here's another fascinating thing about this book from this girl's perspective. She's pro-Union, like she's pulling for the North. It's North versus South, Union versus Confederacy. But yet her family had slaves. And it's like, I think modern day times, and I'm not a Civil War expert, certainly. I've watched some documentaries and some movies and stuff, so I'm far from an expert. And I went to college at Lincoln Memorial University, so I was forced to take a class on Abraham Lincoln. And obviously, he's most known for being the president during Civil War. But I think in modern day times, the Civil War slavery is the main topic of the Civil War in modern day times. But I think back then, it wasn't as big a part, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, it was part of it, but like it was more about the rights, I guess, and representation more so. And then as over the course of time, it's just kind of become about slavery as history has been passed on and whatnot, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not a Civil War expert, so don't eviscerate me in the comment box on this stuff. But anyway, one of the things, I'm getting way off topic here, but of where I was originally going for this anyway. But again, in this book, this girl talks about not being able to get supplies, how they can't get anything, how prices when they do is extremely high. We're going through the same thing right now in the United States. I mean, you think about COVID. China makes all our stuff, right? They do all the manufacturing. Everything we get comes from China. Either everything comes assembled from China, or anything that's even made in America, hell, the raw materials come from China. Our medicines come from China. We saw it all during COVID when the shipping, everything was shut down. Remember how we couldn't get anything? How you couldn't get toilet paper? All the fishing aisles of the stores was out of everything. Cars were sitting on the lots just unfunctional because they didn't have any computer chips. Remember all that was going on just a few years ago? We couldn't get anything. Why? Because we don't make anything here in America. Well, it was the same thing in the North and the South back during the Civil War. The South couldn't get any supplies. Why? Because they didn't make anything. Everything was made up north. So they were cut off. They couldn't get anything. And it's like and again, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We're in the same situation now. We didn't learn anything from that part, at least, of the Civil War, because we have outsourced everything to a country that's, I think at this point in time, pretty safe to say we're not on the best terms with. And if push comes to shove at some point in the near future, whether it's I'm not saying like a hand-to-hand combat kind of war with China, but I mean, even if there's like a trade war of some kind, they've got our asses in a sling because they own us basically. I mean, just they make everything that we need, from basic supplies all the way up to medicines. And so we didn't learn a damn thing from the Civil War. Not a damn thing. It's like we've been through this less than 200 years ago as a country, and now we're in the situation where if things go bad between us and China, we're going to be just like this girl Lizzie in the war days back then. Me and you are going to be, because we're going to be right, the regular citizens feeling the effects of everything that we can't get, that we need, basic living supplies. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating insight to her life during this time period as a regular citizen. And it's fascinating to think about how stuff like that pertains to modern day life. But really, as far as the slavery thing goes, I mean, it's interesting. I'm reading this book, and she's very pro-union. And then they talk about their slaves and stuff, and I'm like, that don't fit the modern day narrative, But yeah, it's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. But I've just been reading a little bit at a time. It's called Cabbages and Caissons. It's C-A-I, I think S-S-O-N-S. May only be one S in there. Cabbages and Caissons. The Hackberry Diaries. And I'm about halfway through it, and it's been a pretty interesting read thus far. It gets long at times, reading her diary entries, weather and whatnot. It seems like they got a lot more snow back then than we do now. Because during the winter time, she talks about snow. I'm like, we don't. Here, and again, I grew up just maybe 5 miles from where she's talking about. So my whole life, we get 1, maybe 2 snows a year, and usually it's not very big snow. And, you know, she's got diary passage as well, 6 inches of snow on the ground and stuff. So it's like, it seemed to snow more back then. But it's just also very interesting to know, like, the river back then versus the river now. Because they would have had to cross the river, obviously. And now the river here doesn't flow with the reservoirs. I mean, if they're pumping water at the dams, we'll get a little bit of flow. But back then, the river would have just ran how it ran. So if you got a ton of rain, it was going to flow harder for a while. The water would be up. There's passages in there how the water was up to the doorstep type thing. You know, whereas now everything's, the level pretty well within a, with the exception of the fall and winter drawdown here, they obviously dropped the water down several feet for that. But the rest of the year, the water level is pretty consistent within a couple feet. But back in those days, it was not the case around here. So pretty interesting stuff. I just, you know, the Civil War is fascinating. So many people died. You hear the stories, brother versus brother, father, son, neighbor versus neighbor, and it truly was that case for this girl in the book here, because Tennessee was the last state. Pretty sure I'm telling this correctly. I could be wrong. Again, don't eviscerate me in the comments. I'm not a historian. But I'm pretty sure Tennessee was the last state to secede. And the middle and western portions of the state were pro-South, and the eastern part of the state was more pro-North. And so, you know, the state, basically Tennessee was a very divided state during the Civil War. And so in this girl's case, like, she knew people on both sides. And soldiers would pass through and stay. She talked about soldiers staying at her house on both sides. Like, they would feed these soldiers and accommodate them as they passed through, going from place to place, battle to battle and stuff. And so she would share insights in her diary about things she heard and yada, 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 and all that. But it's just crazy to think about not just the war going on, but just because we're fortunate. I mean, I grew up in America here, obviously, during peacetime in my life. As far as inside America. Outside, we've obviously, we've fought wars and whatnot, and shout out to all the troops and military and whatnot. My hat's off to you. I could never be in the military, so all the respect in the world for our troops, many of which, just in my lifetime, there's been Desert Storm, Afghanistan. I mean, they've been all over fighting battles all over the world. But we've been very fortunate here at home in America that outside of terrorist events, you know, 9/11, and there was the Oklahoma City bombing, you know, before that, like, aside from just terrorist activities, like, we've been fortunate here in America that we haven't had to experience what war is like as regular citizens. And you know, you see it in the movies. It obviously happens every day on this planet Earth and other countries around us. But growing up as sheltered, I guess, as I have, and as many as you are as far as war goes, it's fascinating to think about that less than 200 years ago, this area here I'm fishing today, there could have very well been a battle going on between the North and South. You know, like, people find Civil War relics and whatnot, all around these areas and stuff. So it's fascinating stuff. I'm always, anytime like that, I watched that Civil War movie come out a few months ago, I gave it a lousy review because it was a pretty lousy movie. But I'm fascinated anytime a movie like that comes out, where you get to kind of a, even if it's just a Hollywood glimpse, but you get a glimpse into what life would be like if war was going on around us. I don't want that to happen. I hope it never happens here. But if it does, you know, it's fascinating just to see what it would be like, especially from the average citizen. So, hope it never happens. Hope it never happens again, but the human species just doesn't seem to learn from past mistakes. You know what I mean? Like we just keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again. So I don't understand us. Look right here. You see all them shad? I don't know if you can see with the glare. I got polarized glasses on, but there's a school of small shad right here beside us. I glanced over and seen that. I feel like we've gone a little stretch here without getting any activity going on. I feel like it's been a minute, even since I've been tapped. We've been getting tapped all the way up through here. I hope that means we got bait on still. We're 61 feet, so we're starting to come up a little bit now. Maybe we're running out of the fish potentially. We'll see if there's any. It looks like it's going to drop back off up here about 70 feet deep as we make our way along. We're just coming up on an incline. This creek comes out from back here, and you can see it on the map right here where it dumped at. We're almost where we're at is where this creek would have come out, and then it's going to fall back off as it goes up here. So we'll keep plugging our way along. Try to run into something. Oh, well, speaking of fish, okay. Oh, he let it go then. Well, the conger just went up, I reckon. They better come on soon. I ain't staying much longer, folks. It's hot. It's real hot. Let me tap where we're at here on time. Hell, I can't even see because it says device overheated, screen disabled. Thankfully, this camera continues to record even after it overheats. It just shuts down the screen. Now, I did overheat it one day, but I had that wind muff thing on that day, so it actually shut down. But otherwise, I've been pretty fortunate with this DJI camera that it just keeps going. I may not access the screen, but the camera still rolls. My microphone, I'm pretty sure it overheated on one video because I went back. I don't ever watch these unedited videos. I don't do anything with them, but post them. But I looked for a fish on one of them, and I was scrolling through, and I noticed the audio, like the audio meter on the editing software had changed, and I clicked and I listened, and I was like, I think that's the stock microphone. So best I could figure, either my microphone battery had died, which I don't think it had, or it overheated, and then the camera microphone, the stock mic, took back over, which is cool that it does that. And I know for sure that it does because I remember there was a trip a few months ago. I was up at Hoover Reservoir in Ohio. I was filming an ultralight trip, and my microphone died, and I knew it was going to die because I'd got a message on my screen saying it was, and the camera mic took over when it did, which is pretty cool. I know that may not seem like a big deal, but my last camera, the GoPro, when I would use an external mic with it, if the battery died or if maybe I jiggled a wire or something and the transmitter got disconnected from the camera, you get home and you're on mute. You got no audio, nothing. So it's cool that this camera, at least I get some audio. And a day like today where the wind ain't blowing, the camera microphone itself would be fine. But yeah, it's Definitely hot enough out here now. I'm holding my hand up. Hopefully it ain't showing up on the camera. I'm holding my hand up by the camera. Try to give it a little shade here, just to hopefully ensure that we don't have any major malfunctions. There just ain't a cloud in the sky, man. That sun's just beating down, and we're going through a little hot period right now. It was hot and then it cooled off. We had some lower humidity days, and now it's heated back up again. I will tell you all this though, if you're watching to this point in the video, you're clearly a hardcore viewer. You either like me, well, you've got to like me if you've stuck through listening to me talk for however the hell long we've been at it. But here's a little update on because we've been talking about gambling nickels on betting on these fish today. Here's an update on my gambling. So, you know, I like to bet on football seasons. By the time you're seeing this video, football season has started, but as of me filming this video, the season's not going yet. But I've made some wagers in advance. So here's my big bet of the year. And it ain't even a big bet, it's just a bunch of small bets. I'm going against Aaron Rodgers every game. I took the preseason lines, the point spreads, because I just feel like the Jets are overhyped, they're overvalued. Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles injury. I don't think it's going to go well for the Jets. And so I think right now preseason, and this ain't my idea per se, I'd heard this on Colin Cowherd months ago, and I thought that's a great idea, I'm going to take that. The lines preseason right now are as good as it's going to get as far as point spread goes. So what I did, I took every game and I put $20 against Aaron Rodgers. I took the point spread, whatever it was on the other team, with the exception of 3 games. So there's 17 games in the season. I did 14 games. The 2 Patriots games, the first game the Patriots were getting 7.5 points. I think they're playing each other on, week 3 or week 4. That's a lot of points, but I think the Patriots are going to be really bad. And I'm like, that line, man, if Jacoby Brissett gets hurt or something, they could be getting maybe 10 points or more that game. So I didn't do that. The second time they played the Patriots, it was in New England. New England was only getting 4 points. And I'm like, again, as bad as New England's going to be, I don't think that's enough points. So I didn't do either one of those games. And the other game I didn't do was the Pittsburgh game, because Pittsburgh was getting 1 point. And that's another team that I think has potential to be exceptionally bad this year. So the other 14 games, whatever the point spread is today, I took it. So we'll see how it plays out over the course of the season. Y'all know whether or not I think I'm going to win more than I lose. It's not going to be a huge payoff because I did $20 each game. So, you know, I'm going to win some, lose some regardless. But I think I'm going to win more than I'm going to lose. And I think I'm going to get value on the point spread because I think it'll be different. It's more in my favor now than it will be when the game is actually played in the future, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I didn't end up doing any big bets. Last year I did some Super Bowl bets, which thankfully Kansas City was one of the teams I picked, so it paid off. But beyond that, I really, nothing big this year. And I'll just bet, $5 here and there on a game that I'm watching. I'm not a degenerate gambler or anything. Just like to bet a little bit. If me and you want to make a wager as I'm reeling in a fish or something, that's fun. If I'm watching a ball game and I want to put $5 on it, then that makes it more fun to watch. But I'm not well, this fish is gambling right here. He's gambling with an injury if he bites that hook. Today has been the same story that has been going on recently, where the dragging rigs are getting all the attention. What do we get? 1 fish on the suspended bait today? 1 or 2? clearly not enough for me to remember. But the other fish we've gotten, been dragging, and that's how it's been lately. My last trip out there, last week, I was on Loudon, and of course I was in my pedal kayak, that was back when I had a functioning seat. But man, I sat there, and I don't know how many fish we ended up with, what, 5 or 6 fish that day? And they were forced to eat a suspended bait because that's all I had out. I was anchoring. But our other previous trips to that and out here today, like we've gotten more fish, gotten better quality fish. Today's not been particularly good on quality. We've got a couple fun sizers. But the bite has been on dragging. Like they've wanted that moving bait. So that's when I go to Alabama, hopefully next week, get all this land work done and everything, and hopefully get some bait. I'm going to just start out dragging. I'm probably going to do this exact setup I'm doing now, suspend 2, drag 2, and work main channel edges. And I'm going to do that until I get proven wrong that I can't catch fish doing it. And I'm going to hopefully go down there. What I'd like to do, and what I thought I'd do if I was able to go this week, would be, if I'd gone today, I would have fished this morning, do a session, go out and do an afternoon session right before dark, and then do a session tomorrow morning and then drive home. So 3 sessions in 2 days is what I was kind of thinking. And assuming you're going half a mile an hour trolling speed, let's say, you do 8 hours one day, 4 hours the next, that's 12 hours total. You cover 6 miles of water there. So I had a few places marked I wanted to try out and just kind of try to eliminate some water. I've fished Wheeler twice, once in a boat, and we traveled so far and covered so much water on that day we went out in the boat. Like I don't even remember exactly where we were at. So that's useless knowledge to me because I don't remember. And then last year I went down there and fished a day. I caught a big fish. I got a really nice fish and some others too. So that area that I fished last year is kind of on the potential to-do list again. But I got a bunch of other places marked on the map that I haven't been to, and I want to go try out. It's about, Wheeler from my house is about 4 hours, so it's not unreasonable to go there. It's just Alabama don't allow you to use white bass or crappie or bass, or you're pretty much down there, you're limited to either skipjack for bait, shad for bait, or bluegill. That's it. And so lately I've just had a hard time getting skipjack, but thankfully my last 2 bait runs have been very productive. And I've not filmed either one of them. No offense to, those of you that watch my videos. I don't hide information from y'all. I'll show you, like my graph screen here today, just as an example. I show you my graph. I show you how I'm working this contour, the depth, my baits, my rigs. Like I show you everything. I don't hide stuff. But when it comes to bait, especially skipjack, I don't always film where I'm getting skipjack at because skipjack are in such high demand around here. These bait dealers, man, they make a fortune on these skipjack. If they see me tearing up a pile of them and the other bait dealers near, they'll be out there pounding it and they'll all get cleaned out. And there'll be so many of them in there, I won't be able to get in there to get what I need. And so things like that, bait, skipjack stuff, like I got to be selective. Usually if I film a bait run, it's a place that's I'm okay with burning. I'm either okay with burning that spot, or I know by the time the video comes out, the bait will be gone. And so this spot, I don't want to burn it. So the last 2 bait runs I've not filmed. But the skipjack had been in there thick, and I got a cooler full in a very short time there for the trip. Well, it was my last video, and then the trip there with Callie, and then yesterday it was pretty quick. And thank God I got them quickly. With my seat breaking, I wouldn't have been able to pedal much. Wouldn't have been able to go much more. I was literally, y'all, like, you know the scene in Dumb and Dumber, the movie Jim Carrey, movie there where Lloyd was like hanging on to the toilet seat because Jim Carrey, Harry had, or maybe it was Harry. One of them was Harry, one of them was Lloyd. Jim Carrey's character had hit the other one with some X-Lax. And he was blowing it out there on the toilet. He was like hanging on to the toilet, legs, up in the air. That's kind of how I was, but except I wasn't blowing it out. Like I was trying to hold myself up while I pedaled in that dang seat with the bottom of it hanging out. I mean, that thing just out of nowhere, just all of a sudden just give. I'm like, what the hell happened? Talk about getting a complex, man. I think the universe trying to tell me I need to lose a pound or two. We'll see. We'll see how my sewing abilities go. I've watched a YouTube video, so therefore I'm an expert now. And we'll see if I can get this seat fixed or not. It looked pretty simple. I mean, it looked simple enough to do. I don't feel like I should have to do it. I feel like they should sell that piece, the fabric. I really feel like, I mean, I know it's been 3 years, but I feel like the company ought to take care of that. But, companies today, they got to save a buck too. I mean, they're trying to stay in business, so they're going to deny any warranty claims they can, and if something's a day past the warranty, you can forget about it. They ain't going to help you out. And that girl on the phone at Old Town, buddy, she wasn't. I was paying $192 for that seat, or I was SOL. That was my options. I shouldn't have been rude to her. Wasn't her fault, but I think most of you understand my frustration in that moment. I mean, I call thinking $20, $30, I'm going to be paying $192. I'm like, you kidding me? Over something that shouldn't have broke anyway. But it's hard to find good quality. You find good quality, you got to stick with it. I feel like we've gone a stretch here without a bite again, y'all. We got bit. Didn't hook up, and then I don't know, man. That sun is beating down, and it's high in the sky. And this happened the other day too on the boat there with Callie and Mark. Our bite died off when the sun got up, just like it'd been doing on me. And we fished. I think we got on the water at sunrise, and we fished till about 12:30, 1 o'clock. I was home by 2 because I had that woman doing my land clearance. She was coming over at 2 o'clock that day to give me the estimate. So I know I was home by 2. So I think we were probably off the water by 1, but we fished later in the morning than what I normally do. And the bite, I mean, it just died. But our biggest fish came just a few minutes before we left there. Biggest fish of the day. And it was a good one. I was happy Callie got that. I wanted her to have a good trip down here. I think she had a pretty good time overall. She stayed at the campground over at Melton Hill, which I fished that area quite a bit on video. It's a nice area, real nice campground. And she said she went over to Oak Ridge, which is where they built the atomic bomb. And so I vaguely remember going over there and visiting that museum, maybe on a field trip as a kid or something. But otherwise, I ain't been over there. I mean, other than just driving through, I ain't been over there in ages. But she went over there, and toured all that stuff, at least what you can tour anyway. Most of that stuff, top secret government area, you can't get on there. They say the most contaminated creek in the country is actually that creek right there below Melton Hill Dam. It's about a mile downstream from there. You go down through there, there's signs up, like, don't cross this line, water contaminated, no water contact, all that stuff. But it's because that creek come from that area over there where they'd done the testing and building that bomb and stuff. My dad's told me before, my grandpa, he apparently helped build the construction and stuff while Oak Ridge was being built. And he would come home and sometimes have rashes on him, like almost like burns on him. And of course, at the time, you didn't know what that was, but in hindsight now, it was probably radiation. But all that stuff over there got buried, their equipment and whatnot. They'd dig a big hole, big trench, put all that stuff in there and bury it. So you know a lot of that stuff probably leached out in the soil and whatnot. And they've allegedly done tests on, you got Melton Hill Dam, about a mile or so downriver, you got that creek that comes in. And just below that creek, there's a big island, and it's a large island. And they've done studies on that island, and allegedly the level of contamination there is safe, allegedly. I wouldn't go down there and take a mud bath along the edge of that island, you know. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be tromping around in that mud. I used to think about that after the Kingston coal ash spill. If I would drop down a physical anchor, I'd pull that thing up and there'd be mud on it, and I'm like, boy, what am I pulling up here? You know, like, because, you know, they did the cleaning job after the coal ash spill, and they claimed they got like 90% of it. I don't know how they measure that, but still, a lot of it's still down there, and it's sediment on the bottom. And so you drop an anchor down into that mud and you pull it up into your kayak or your boat or whatever, and you got all that mud caked all over your anchor, and it's got that contaminated materials in there. And then you clean off the mud, or the mud gets in the floor of your kayak, or it's in the back of your truck, whatever, like, you know, you're being exposed to that stuff. And you may not glow in the dark right away, but the continued exposure time over time, it adds up. It's cumulative. And all them workers that cleaned up the coal ash spill, you probably didn't see this because it was like one little blip on the news. They had a class action lawsuit because, come to find out, all them people that cleaned up the spill, and of course they were out there, I mean, they're out there in damn hazmat suits and all that, man. Like, they're not out there just t-shirts and flip-flops cleaning that stuff up, you know, like, they're out there in full-on protective gear. Or so they thought, but they all ended up with cancer, all various types of cancer. And so they had a class action lawsuit that was supposedly settled, I think, but it was just, I mean, stuff like that, just a blip on the news, just a blip. If Taylor Swift's having a concert on the other side of the planet, we'll hear about it for a week. But something major like that, it's just a little blip and then on to the next thing. I'm like, that's a pretty daggone big deal. But that ain't what the news wants to show us. So, yeah, I think about that every time I anchor in that area, anywhere downstream, directly downstream from there. I'm always like, wonder what I'm pulling up. If I ever glow in the dark someday, you'll know what happened. Pulled up an anchor one too many times. It's hot, y'all. I think I'm gonna get out of here in a few minutes, man. We're not catching fish anymore. And that sun keeps beating down. Getting hotter by the second. I ain't heard my phone ding, but the mail usually don't run to my house this early anyway. I'm normally mid-afternoon at my house. I think my desk is coming FedEx, which they run, it depends on the driver. One day it might be 10 o'clock in the morning, and the next day it might be 7 o'clock at night. You never know with them. But either way, I got my sewing kit coming today, I got my desk coming today, and I got my metal detector coming today. So I got a lot of outdoor activities this afternoon. I got a lot of stuff to do. I think priority number one is going to be finding that pin. Since that woman's coming tomorrow, I want to try to find that other property marker. And I'd like to go ahead and get that desk put together, because if I don't, I'll procrastinate. My seat can, because my next trip will be not tomorrow, but Friday, and I can come out in this kayak because I'll be catfishing. So my seat can wait a couple days if I don't get to all of it today. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here, I think, and grab a bite to eat, and hopefully the mail will come early today and the desk come early, and I can go ahead and get started and knock that out. And it's been good to catch some fish again. I mean, this has been a little bit of a break for me, at least from filming anyway. Obviously fished with Callie, and then yesterday went on my bait run, but filming wise, it's kind of been 5 days, I guess, since I filmed a video. So thankfully I was several videos ahead. We don't have any disruption at all, but wish I could have found us a big one today. I blame y'all for that. You should have picked a better location for us to fish at, but we did get several fish, a couple fun sizers. Saw an awesome sunrise, amazing sunrise until it got up this high and got hot. Can we catch one more potentially? Let's catch us one more. We got a fish to close out the video, folks. How about that? Oh, he let go. He let go. I'm gonna lower that back down. He may have foul hooked the bait, I don't know. I'm gonna let it back down for a second. See if he'll come get it again. We reeled that fish in pretty good ways. I wonder if it was one that maybe had the bait wedged in his mouth or something. I thought we were going to end it on a fish, man. But yeah, either way, y'all, like we've had a productive day as far as numbers goes. The size was just lacking today. Few fish on the flies. Some Catfish Sumo bait stalker flies, and I ain't trying to say no damn flies or nothing, but I mean they do catch you some extra fish. So I think they're a worthwhile addition to your rigs. I've had more success with them on the suspended rigs than I have the dragging rigs, but I've been using the suspended rigs far longer, so we'll see over the course of time how it plays out, but I think they're a worthwhile addition. Just gives you another profile, it gives you another size, another option for those fish to hit. So it's going to pick over the course of time. You're going to pick up a few extra fish. It's statistically impossible not to. And I think for you and me and anybody who goes fishing, the goal is to catch fish, right? You want to catch more fish. And so that's just going to be another tool to help you do it. So I'm a big believer in flies, but you know, to each their own. Whether you do or not, it don't affect me none. But I think they're worthwhile. And even though the fish we got on today were small, it was still extra bites that we wouldn't have got otherwise. So yeah, I got a pretty good haul to get back to the car here, y'all. I launched in the back of a creek and come out, and it's pretty good run to get out there to the main channel, and then I went down. So the creek that I launched in, we passed it on the way up through here, but now we've went way past it as well. So I've probably got a 30-minute run, I'd say, to get back to the car. and it's already miserable hot. So I think by the time I get back and then get home, I got a pretty good drive to get home, about 40, 45 minutes to get home. So by the time I do all that, eat me some lunch, surely to goodness, FedEx or the mail or one of them will run. I can get to work on these projects. Really want to find that pin today though, man. If I can find that other boundary marker, that's going to be, I've been looking for that thing for months, y'all, months. Today's the day. Finally broke down and got a metal detector. I think that's going to be the ticket, because it's ground level and it's been buried. So all them leaves and stuff, like it's not just the leaves that's been on top of it, but a lot of that has broken down and created soil. So like it's completely covered. And so I know approximately where it's at, but like I need something to ping that metal. So I'm gonna go do that, but yeah. Anyway, y'all, I keep rambling on. Oh, I ramble long enough, we're gonna get him. Fish, I've given you every opportunity now. I've said I'm closing out this video twice. You're missing your chance. Why does them fish got to toy with us like that? I mean, we've caught several fish today. I've made all of them famous. Tens of thousands of people seeing this video, which is a crazy number, by the way. Thank you all so much for all of you and sticking with me and hearing me ramble on and tell stories and rant and whatever pops in my mind is what we talk about that day. I appreciate the hell out of all of you that come with me, and especially those of you that come with me regularly on these trips. I got some of you that watches every video. Special shout out too to all my channel members out there, support my channel on a monthly basis. I give them some behind the scenes tour of my house and the life and times type videos, but those people were supporting my channel long before I ever started doing those videos. So thank you all, especially to the channel members. This fish ain't gonna bite it, y'all. He's back after it again. This is your last chance, fish, and I'm getting the hell out of here. I ain't waiting on you no more. I'm giving him about 30 more seconds, y'all, and he's gonna miss his opportunity. And that's gonna be, when I reel these rods in, that's the first rod I'm reeling into. Because if he ain't gonna eat it, he ain't getting it. Of course, I guess when I unbait the hook, throw it out, he'll get it then. This fish is walking away a winner regardless. And that's probably what he knows too. Ah, heck with it. We probably didn't want that fish anyhow. All right, y'all. Well, I'm heading to the house. Next trip will probably be a catfish video, assuming I can get us on some fish on Friday when I go. And yeah, so I'll see you then. Thanks for coming with me today. Y'all, I got a fish on. I've got all my gear put up. I've got 2 rods reeled in, and all of a sudden, I'd already put the camera up. I told y'all bye. This rod starts peeling line. We got our biggest fish of the day on right here. This dang fish, he waited all daggone day. This is a good one. We got a good one on right here, man. We're gonna, I guess this video technically ain't uncut now because it was cut off. But we turning it back on right now. For those of you that stuck around all the way to the end, you got your bonus fish coming. And it's gonna be a good one. I can tell right now this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be the biggest one of the day for sure. But yeah, I got the rods on the left side reeled in. I'd already put my pliers and glove, turned my graph off, everything. Got my live scope transducer put up. Like, I'm just getting everything ready to go. I'm gonna turn around and head back toward the car. And this rod, he just started ripping line. So I'm grabbing, look, I'm trying to grab the rod. I'm trying to grab the camera, get it turned back on, get it here in the chest. Yeah, buddy. Well, we're going to get our big fish after all today, folks. It just took all daggone morning to happen. But by gosh, it's happening. be getting close now. I don't even know how deep I am right now. Turn my graph off. Oh yeah, big fish. Big fish, y'all. Big fish right there. Boom, buddy. Oh, he's gonna take some line. Back down he goes. Back down he goes, man. Yeah, part of this video may get edited after all, folks. So I can put this fish on at the end. May take me a minute to get this one landed anyhow. That's a good one, buddy. Ate the chunk. No, buddy. Yeah, I'll probably have to edit part of this portion here, I guess, because it's going to be a little while before I can land this thing. He hit that rod and just buried it, man. I wish that could have been on video. Of course, right after I turn the camera off, a couple minutes later is when that's going to happen. That's Murphy's Law, but that's a good one, buddy. That's a good one. Okay. Oh. I'm soaking wet now. He wasn't ready, because you're going to be ready, fish, because I want to land you. Come on in here, act like somebody. You're a good thing. Lucky for you, fish, I'm burning up out here. I'm hot. Yes, folks. Yes, let me clean the screen off there, folks. All right. There we go, man. It took all morning. We got him. We got our big fish. Nice, man. I love it. You just never know. You never know when that big fish is coming. It could happen anytime. Anytime. You cover these ledges, so you just never know when a big fish is going to be swimming along. Anytime you got a bait in the water, any hour of the day, you got a chance. It just happened for us. I can feel it. I can feel him. He's wanting to. I feel his tail. Get out of here. Get out of here, fish. I can feel him about ready to flop. Got us a fist pump worthy fish, man. All right, well, I'm going for real. That's a great way to cap off the morning. I'm gonna reel in this final rod here. I'm going to the house for real this time, y'all. I'll see you in the next one.